It's time for another episode of Street Fighter League Japan. We're in episode 11, day 1 action. Let's get it done. People, if you haven't got your stacks, go get them right now, because we have only flames, heat, and fire for the action on the menu today. But before we get to the fisticuffs, we gotta talk about them introductions. My name is St. Cola. I'm doing Vicious. What can the people expect to see today?
Well, for the first thing I should say is they're expecting double commentary for the first time in about a week, right? This is going to be coming back to us in full force. I'm not going to blow out my voice today, but one thing is for sure, I might end up blowing my voice as well as St. Cola because of the bangers we have for us today, right? Shinobism Gaming versus Nagoya Ojo Body Stars, Mildon Bees, and then Good 8 Squad versus V6 Plus FAV Gaming. Now, if that wasn't enough to kind of get you guys excited, let me raise the stakes a little bit, right? The leaderboard as it stands is heavily contested between the ranks of 2nd through 5th. Anybody at this point can take it. Both Aru and Hamago were talking about it earlier in their choices, right, in the pregame interviews. There's been absolutely no solid predictions from these two, and I can bet you for sure that I don't have any of those predictions, and St. Cola won't have it either, but we're going to see it little by little how this all works out towards the end, towards the playoffs.
That's right. That's what these competitors are playing towards. Only 5 spots for the qualification zone to stay solid. You want to be in there to get the win. And as you pointed out, you need as many points as possible. And also, denying as many points as possible, too, is also the name of the game. Away side puts up their players first. Home side puts up their players right after to deliberate and strategize on how they can make the demise of the other team. That means 2 first to 2s and a first to 3 at the end, and a first one possibly to get to the 8 million yen. That is a lot of guap split up between the top 3 teams. But also, when you qualify, when you win Street Fighter League Japan, you move on to fight the EU and the US at the World Championships at Capcom Cup.
Yeah, I cannot wait. I absolutely cannot wait, right? We've been talking about this for quite some time. We're starting to round up every single one of the CPTs. We're getting to that moment, right, where we get to see everybody again, hopefully soon. But as it stands right now, let's get down to business, right? It's Street Fighter League Japan time. We got some pretty heavy hitters. Introducing our first 2 teams against Shinobism Gaming, who have been on a tirade these last couple of weeks, getting points after points after points. And I do not kid you when I say they've been accumulating like 30 plus almost every week since like week 6 or 5 even. But they're going up against Nagoya Ojo Body Stars, who are in need of those points. Now, it's funny that I say it in such a desperate manner, but they are so close to the running, right between the rest of the teams, that they need to secure their spot with as many points as possible, all the while denying points from Shinobism Gaming, who are in 2nd place. So with that in mind, we're going to get ourselves acquainted real soon with these teams. You guys should get really excited. Let's take a look at the away squad. It's Nagoya Ojo Body Star, Mildon Beast, kicking things off with the captain with lightning speed. That captain's been putting in work. It is Akira leading the pack, and behind him, picked up by the living legend himself, Daigo with the guile made of steel. Speaking of steel, look at the attack enemy tag. It's Futo coming in with poison, and Luke with a very, very impressive record thus far. And people have been looking forward to seeing this man's performance. Still looking to get some points on the board. It's Narikun, the White Omen, with Akira.
The exact team. This is a team that, when they had ran into each other between Shinobism Gaming and the Nagoya Ojo Star, was able to take the victory previously. But again, this is a run back and a clap back like that. Shinobism Gaming, as you were pointing out, has been on a dominant tear. Let's take a look at their team up on the screen. We're going to start it off with Momochi, the Shinobism Prime himself, with that fantastic 40 play coming through every single dang day. Then we have, after that, the Gravemaker himself, digging up the ditches with the Luke gameplay, Fujimura. After that is going to be the Vanish, seating from the Vanish point, I should say, Yamaguchi with that defensive Luke style. And we have to round things off with the swanky ninja himself with the 6 signs all the time. That is Johnny with that G, with that high level of presidentiality and a high level of points with this team. They have the work cut out for them to get that revenge, but you know that they have got that heat with them after having all those points amassed, as you were pointing out, 30 bombs, 40 bombs, continuously over and over again. Let's see how they operate against the run back.
Yeah, with the first half of the season pretty much over and done with, right? We were taking a look at Shinobism Gaming's current run. They actually had a very big spike up around, I think, week number 6. Like, back in week number 5, we started to see, like, glimpses of their greatness. Prior to that, it was just kind of slow in regards to their point acquisition and just the overall play, right? In the current run, as it stands right now, we're going to have Nagoya Ojo Body Star with Futo coming in first with Poison, Narikun and Akira second, very interesting, and Daigo Umehara as Guile last. Now, this is a very big thing to look forward to, because I think their point right now is to, I think with Nagoya Ojo, they're trying to prevent the big prevent Futo from going into anchor, because they're trying to bait somebody out, I'd imagine, right? I'd imagine they're trying to bait out their strongest player in Shinobism Gaming first to get rid of the threat of them scoring 20 points is my take on it, which is why they're putting Futo in.
And you said that correctly, as Momochi looks like he's coming up on the deck. But it makes sense, because I feel like Futo kind of shines in the first of three. His character choice definitely helps out to have more data as you go along with the Mika. And just, you know, Poison, just a strong threat no matter what happens. And the character choice in general is so fantastic against the likes of Cody and other characters on a lot of other teams. So it makes sense to see them trying to draw that out. It's what's going to happen right here. First off the deck, we're already getting a run back. Cody versus Poison Momochi versus Futo. I'm very curious to say what Momochi is saying. I went to a stream maybe a couple weeks after his loss, and I was like, what do you think about the Poison matchup? And the only thing I really got is that he doesn't really know how he feels about it, and that was, you know, a couple weeks ago. But he's trying to find a way to play against that character. And I saw him practicing against that character in training mode, running sets just a few days ago. So I'm curious to see what he has against Futo right now.
Dude, I talk to him almost every day on his stream, and I can't get him to speak English to me once. That's impressive. I even asked the chat, I'm like, hey, I asked him about specific matchups, and there's always the chat that's actually answering back, so it's very impressive. But one thing is for certain, I think what's wild about, you know, talking about the 3 out of 5 matches, I think there's a lot of volatility within these first twos as well, right? If you're not able to kind of keep up with how Futo wants to play that day, I feel like there's not going to be enough time for you to assess it and get any sort of damage going. And I think what benefits Futo in the long run is being able to switch characters if need be. But I think he's well prepared for this Cody matchup. I think this is going to be something that's a real test against Momochi's Cody, because I don't think Cody fights this all too well, I'd imagine. I think Trigger is going to be a problem for Poison, like, if he gets up close. But even so, I think, like, the ranges that he wants to play at are going to be a little bit difficult. I think he's not going to be able to trade with fireballs. He's going to be kept away from even getting zonked, I feel like, with the way that Futo controls the neutral. We'll see how this plays out. I think this is going to be one of the very, very close games between the two, and I think that's what we could expect with, like, every one of the matches right now. But Poison with Futo is going to be so hard for Momochi to navigate around.
I remember back to when John Takuchi was able to take it over Futo in one of the World Warrior tournaments, and I recall his game plan pushing Futo to the corner continuously, and then finally getting B-trigger, and then really running the gameplay right there. It wasn't enough to get the victory the last time they ran into each other, because it's not really a stable game plan once Futo understood what to do. And I do think that you're right in terms of Cody having a little bit of difficulty. It's not as bad as, like, Sim versus Cody, but it's definitely hard to get in against those long-range normals. However, Momochi, he said he wants to have the revenge. He said he'd like to win this. He lost the last time against Futo. He's aware, he's awake of that, and he's got a pretty decent record right here. Last time we saw him getting 20 points over the Bison play right there. And I'm very curious, you know, to see what Mochi has in store against this character. First of two, not a lot of time to deliberate. Probably won't switch the characters up. Probably has nothing else. I would assume that it's as strong as his Cody right now to take on the Poison. So I'm very curious what that game plan is going to be. First of two, less time to deliberate what's going on.
And taking a look at the current stats, right, of Futo, he fell just a little bit short last week. The entire team actually didn't have the best run-in against the V6 Plus FAV gaming squad. They fell 0-40, so they're looking for redemption. But Futo still being one of the top point earners with 110 points, winning 6 out of his 10 games, if I'm not mistaken, right? So 6 out of his 10 games, he's been playing almost every single game thus far. Oh, actually, he has been playing every game thus far. I don't know why I said almost. But looking on the other side, I didn't get to really reflect on that. Momochi is definitely within the top 3-point earners with 130 points, and his his record has overall been very, very dominant, right? 7 out of 9 games he's won. And that's a lot to be said. That is definitely a lot to be said in regards to how Momochi's been playing. I think this is going to be one of his biggest challenges thus far in the league. And this is something Futo had anticipated, right? Futo had intentionally put himself up front to yield themselves like a better chance of succeeding against this team in regards to getting at least a 30-point game, right? But I still think Futo is going to be confident in this matchup. And Momochi actually is is okay with this. He even says it himself. He's like, he read it exactly how he thought it would be for the roster. They had read the gameplay right. They lost to Futo last game, so he just wants to get this run back. I think that's what he was going for initially, right? He doesn't even want to try to go for the points at this point, or at least between this matchup. He wants to get this run back and trust his teammates.
Yeah, get that momentum going and flowing. You know, the fact that he's been in the anchor position so consistently to close out things means they must have a big game plan to put the weight on the shoulders of the other teammates. But right now, the captain of the Ninjas going up against Futo. Let's see what he has in store. Let's see if all that training has worked off. I'm very curious. I didn't get to see what V-Trigger he picked. Last time I've seen a lot of these Cody players going for the V-Trigger 1 to try to help out with the neutral, extend it with the normals, with the mediums, the fierces and things like that, get the corner carry and put the damage on them. Because the V-Trigger 2 is great for robbery, but not so good for the neutral.
We're taking a look at V-Skill 2. That's going to be a way around possibly the heart rate, if he can call it correctly, or even some of the whips, like maybe like a Fierce. But I'd expect something like Fierce to be, yeah, okay, so Momochi's not even going to give like Futo that kind of chance. He's been trying to get into the ranges of baiting out the heart rate and the crouching Fierces, but now look at this. That jumping could have been huge against the Whiplash.
Attack. Walking through the corner, medium rough, get that distance. The light kick,
Ooh,
the light kick
yes.
comes from the exhaust from the side of Momochi.
And we're seeing some of the trials and tribulations that Futo is actually going through. This is looking so rough. Look at the damage. Being able to chip and accumulate gray life. There's going to be a lot of damage incoming. But more importantly, it's going to get him out of the corner. Yeah. Getting the side switch too.
Super strong right here. But Momochi can still get that one hit to do. He's got the super, or he's got the bar to look up. Closer, closer. Yes, but you have to guess. You have to hold the throw. Two more good sequences. Should feel like here for Futo.
Oh, he just ran into him at the last second. That was actually very unfortunate. I think Cody, sorry, I think I saw like a slight bit of like jump animation from Cody, and I think that standing heavy punch caught the pre-jump frames. Oh, that's huge. Off the wall, hella damage, you know it.
Double.
Look at the damage on that. Jesus. He's so good.
EX gets the stun and done. Man, even a bad matchup, Cody can definitely dish it out. Oh, the heavy's on combo, the hard stuff.
That's the thing. I don't think this is a bad matchup at all. I feel like it might be damn well even, but I don't think it's that severe of a matchup. Just the amount of damage potential that Cody has up close is so dangerous. That V-Skill 2 being able to get around, and look at that. It's so nasty. It's actually so nasty to even try to keep Momochi contained. It's so difficult.
You're right, because the corner pressure is so difficult to deal with. Heavy kick, medium punch, the buffers, and the damage that you get off of any of these exchanges definitely helps out. He can keep up in the corner. Let's see if Futo can show us the reverse. Trying to catch a tech, no go. Blocking in house Momochi.
It's the kind of playstyle we like to see. Now that Futo has so much of the real estate, he can just kind of control the pace a little bit better. But so much of it taken back, and you see Shinobism in gaming zone. We see Momochi try to steal bases here. Anti-air, you already know it, and I love him not throwing the knife in continuation of that. He goes for the ruffian kick instead. Oh boy.
So cancel. Backing him off. Unleash the rest of the knife. Maybe once he uses EX Fireball to lock down the neutral, possibly. Backing off. Oh, this is so deadly right here. Futo has a big lead. With so much bar too as well. Couldn't act. EX heart rate over and over again for that mix-up situation, possibly.
Yeah, the lovely tender getting past the fireball, and I love that from Futo. Always aware of when it's going to be coming out. And he doesn't want to let that rock either. Ooh.
Activation of the crouch spears.
The activation.
Trying to get a jump in the tech. EX.
Plus frames. Do it again. Forward throw. Within range. Yes, apply the meaty. Plus frames again. The jump out from Futo. Unsuccessful. Watch out for the Molotov.
Cooking him up. Avoids the EX. He's got the lead. He's still going in. EX whip. Again. Tech. Futo. Taking it in that scramble situation. My man went in to get that W. Did not want to rely upon the timeout, and it makes sense. You don't want to get chipped out as much as possible. We'll have to go for the strike throw. But man, oh man, was that risky on both sides. Futo coming out the better.
Who's got the proximity chat on in Team Nagoya Ojo Body Star? Who's screaming? Who's the one screaming over there? Somebody turn off the proximity chat on that one. Someone's trying to get released from the gulag. Either way, we see Futo right now starting things off aggressively. Oh, that's a big crush counter. We had a little bit of the whiplash too. Extra damage just within range for the throw. Plus frames after that. V-reverse will get him off of me.
I like that V-bar usage right there. Get some space up in this place. Back him up a bit. We'll stare down right here. Activation on the side of Futo can go for a crouch kick if he gets in that close range gameplay. But right here, the CQC coming through from the side of Momochi. Makes him hold the throw on the wake up. And we talk about this corner pressure being so deadly. No. The stun. And you see stars like Hollywood Boulevard. It's over.
In the corner, man. That's just a rough spot to be in. Just trying to V-shift in the corner like that. Momochi was 100% ready for it. A delayed normal, catching it either way. Futo pretty much getting it up in the corner, but look at the big counter hit conversion off of the Zoc Knuckle, being able to get the Oki afterwards. Yeah, he was 100% ready for the jump out, but not at the right angle to keep him on the same side.
Medium Ruffian. A lot of rewards he's been earning off of that. Just at the right space. It's hard for her to deal with, it looks like.
Yeah, this is exactly why we were talking about this earlier, all right? I don't think this is going to be a bad matchup for Cody in the slightest.
Ducks it with the Molotov. Oh. Futo pushing him back into the flames. But he say, okay, side switch super, caught a button. Just wants to equalize things. But won't be able to do so still. Mochi having the lead and still has V-bar to play with.
Still within range of the knife. The crouching heavy punch is still going to be hidden near max range unless Momochi can get a little bit closer. Oh, punish! He's got more than enough. He does. Futo gets the whip punish, not the whip punish, excuse me. The punish on the ruffian kick, a misplaced one at that. I think he had walked into his buffered normal, and Momochi thought he was going to be safe within that range.
Unfortunate. Now that puts Futo on set point. Momochi trying to walk into the corner, crush, stops that from happening. Jump the situation. And at that range, it looks like it's so deadly to deal with. And again, another button caught with the crush counter. He's skilling in the cartwheel and the throw. Damage is racking up. Futo looking real clean right now.
Oh, he checks the low.
Here, whistling.
But no, big conversion off of that.
Trying to walk in that range, but it's so hard. You're dealing with so much of that gray life. And Futo just feels like he just has complete control. He can't even throw in a fireball. We've seen what happens with the ears flip right over. Anti-air, dropping down to the ground. Still on the plus frames.
He does get the throw bait, and Futo, man, he's doing such a dominant job of taking advantage of the strike throw game, and he's caught Momochi more often than not. I think even in the last sequence he had done that. I think in the prior game when he had Momochi in the corner, he had gone for 2 back-to-back throws. This time around, he's kept Momochi guessing, and it's so tough when you're at that moment where it's a single touch that could kill Momochi again, keeping the strike throw game completely ambiguous. Getting the W 2-0, he came out on a mission, dragging out the highest point earner of the team, and took him down. This is going to be pretty deadly, I feel like, for the rest of Shinobism Gaming.
Yeah, that's a big morale hit right there for Shinobism Gaming. Unfortunately, you know, Momochi going down. Futo staying dominant in the first of 2, first of 3, doesn't matter what it is. Even in the run back, he still gets his W. And a lot of that was just stopping. It felt like we saw a lot of preemptive, like we saw the preemptive heavy kick come through, a lot of crush counters too. And I'm wondering if he caught some preemptive buttons. And at a range where also you see Futo back up to not let those exalts push him to the corner on block or get those hits. And we did see a lot of blocks just in general on the anti situations. However, there's a lot of good anti-airs on the side of Momochi. I don't want to, you know, downplay him too much. He did get some great moments of crouch fierce, but in some of those ranges, she's almost has like a dive kick where she changes up how she comes through with the jump in buttons, with jump fierces and things like that, and the other fierce button that she jumps in with the command normal. So it's hard for Cody, who already has issues with anti-air buttons sometimes, for him to stop her. So Momochi taking that, or getting taken down dominantly outside the distance where Cody can't enact that big boy pressure or that damage, means that they are down a player. Futo putting some up on the team. Ojo off to a fantastic start right now.
No, this is where it gets kind of tricky, right? We have Narikun as well as Daigo. Hamino had actually talked about the next person up on deck potentially could be Fujimura because Narikun's in place. He actually liked Fujimura going up against either Akira or Narikun because of the Luke. And it is going to be Fujimura, right? Yeah, Fujimura is going to be going up against Narikun's style of Akira. I think there's going to be a lot of control with Luke's gameplay, with having the fireballs, having the medium ranges also to kind of to contest against Akira's ranges as well. I think this is going to be a matchup that Akira really needs to be prepared for because he's currently at 0-3 and he's ready for it. He sounds like he's ready for it. He just said, okay, so I think he's just trying to get on the board right now at this point. But to the matchup itself, right? I think there's a lot to be said in regards to like how Akira hasn't really seen the light of day as often, right? But when we do, it's been pretty fascinating. I think the changes overall has really benefited her style in regards to like how the V triggers can be explosive. She gets a little bit of more damage consistencies too, being able to use V skill as well to like extend damage. But overall, I think it's not gonna be enough to stop Luke's pressure. I feel like. Or not even Luke's pressure, but the neutral that Luke presents.
That fast fireball is so nasty for her to deal with. You know, typically you can do heavy kick, you know, DP through some of the fireballs against other characters. It's way harder to do that against the likes of Luke. So quick with it, you can't really call that out. It's really predictive when you do so. And if you falter, you will fall to just a fat punish. And you don't want to give that to Luke. And overall, the neutral, the buttons are better on the side of Luke. Medium punch, even the crouch mini kick is going to lead to a lot more on the side of Luke. He's going to be need to be outside that distance of 4 fears and get in and skate step in, put that smooth movement, and really put the mix in. But we've seen Narikun's mix not really always matter. We've seen the likes of Gucci walk up and throw against Brother Daigo. So I'm curious to see if he's going to be utilizing the other V trigger just to be able to hit confirm and land more damage. But again, Narikun, as you said, is due for a win. He is due for a W. I think he's the only person in the league so far that has not earned one.
I have to check up on that. I don't know if that's the accurate stat. I don't know who else has gotten O or X really, but at least for this team, Narikun is that true?
Storm Kubo and Narikun are the only ones to not win. My bad.
That's wild. That's actually kind of wild. I'd have to check that out on Storm Kubo's behalf. But as it stands right now, yeah, Narikun again currently sitting at 0 and X, really 0-3. But Fujimura has a pretty decent record overall, taking a look at what he had, right? Going into it, Fujimura, from being last season's top point earner, I feel like all across the board, I think he's won almost every game that he played in as Kami. Now switching it up to Luke, we see a stark difference, right? 3 wins so far out of the 8 games he's played, only having 30 points.
Oof. That is a big difference. 3 out of 5 right there in terms of wins and losses. Fujimura, however, said that he had heard that Narikun's been playing well against Luke. He's not sure how this game will be like, but he's looking forward to this game. And Fujimura is a big grinder. If you look on his stream, my man's putting in 6 to 7 to 8 hours of Street Fighter V, grinding out every matchup, not only for obviously the league, but for CPT, making sure he's ready for everything that he might be coming, prepared into. So I'm sure that he's faced off against Akira's, but have you faced off against the White Omen? Have you faced off that sort of style of the White Omen? Have you faced off against someone who is hot and hungry for a W, has not really got one, and they're put up prime position to fight Luke? We've seen players prepare for Luke, as everybody has in Street Fighter V this season, and I'm curious to see what Narukun's going to bring to the table for the league, not having so many points on the board at all.
Yeah, it's a really tough spot to be in. I think Narikun also having to face off against a character like Luke. This is something that everybody needs to be ready for. Without a doubt in my mind, this character has been very dominant in the scenes. I mean, like, people kind of meme it up, but even in the right hands, we see Fujimura, right, not have the best record. But this is still going to be Fujimura you're facing up against, right? This is the character that invents combos, some really crazy, like, high damage combos if you make even the slightest mistakes. So he truly is the master of lethal if you give him that opportunity, and best believe as the games go on, he will find those opportunities eventually. But it's really up to Narikun, right? We talked about his past couple of performances. It hasn't really been up to snuff in regards to the rest of the league, right? He played off against Tokido. He lost to another one of the Lukes, right? One of the greats as well. In, I believe that was like week 3, if I'm not mistaken. He fell short to Higuchi. That's also a really tough one too, man. He had to play against some of the big boys too. He had to face off against Mago's Luke. He actually got AW, or at least he got 1 game out of 3. But as it is right now, it's been very tough for him versus Luke's, I feel like.
Yeah, it definitely has been. Even the guys too, as well. I feel like he's just one of those players that even outside the matchups, he just it's that confidence, right? He's one of the newer players in terms of being on like a big stage out here. He just has to find that moment. He even said it himself weeks ago. I think it was maybe the last time he appeared that he's looking for that W. He's looking for that, like, this is going to be his moment. He's looking for that moment, right? This could be right here as Narikun goes up against Fujimura, but Fujimura is not going to make this easy at all. In fact, it's going to be real difficult as Fujimura knows in so many matchups. We're going to see this first of 2. He's going to get through.
And he didn't do too poorly, right? Even in CPT, he was just shy of top 16, and that was an extremely stacked bracket, as it always is. So he does have potential. He definitely has the potential. Man, we're in the danger room. I like that. Where it's the training stage, and then it's also something else. That's actually pretty cool. You see it right now. Fujimura. Already off to a great start against Narikun.
Harass with those mediums. That medium kick, such a blessed button right there. Sets up top for everything else. Great poke and the starter right there on the medium.
We talked about occupying that space a lot. I think Luke is going to be doing just a better job of keeping some of the active normals within the screen, right? Narikun cannot afford to whiff punish anything, and that's one of the bigger things that Akira has is like her heavier buttons have such great reach and could lead to a lot of damage too, but they last so long, right? It's like double digits recovery.
You're giving the opportunity for Luke to get the Oki going and flowing off these lights and things like that. Not a good situation. Fujimura switching things up with the fireball every so often, was content with these medium kicks. Dashing in, no check from Narikun. Ooh, into the super already. He said, I want that damage.
How did he even land that hit? That was so far. Was that I think he like buffered crouching medium punch into a flash knuckle. That was actually disgusting. What do you, oh no! Not like this. Not like this, fam. Don't do that.
Not looking good right here. That medium kick checked and heavy kick. Here we go. It's the activation. We talked about which trigger he might use. This guy's for some damage and some corner carry. Double dash in, but the back throw. Knuckle sandwich.
Gotta see it. Hatanoko. Oh, yeah, that's the thing. Fujimura with a giant grin on his face. Well, the thing about the Tatsus, right, especially the EX version, the last one whiffs on crouchers, right? The EX and Shubu is not something to use as any sort of pressure tool like you normally would with like EXs. Like you could do like even EX Fireball if you wanted to, it'd be like -2. You could even do like maybe EX Elbow, that's -2. It's tough, right? I don't think, you know, utilizing any sort of EX kicks will be a great deal. Although I will say, I think it was just him thinking he had the hit confirmed because he was way too close to even consider a buffer.
Yeah, I believe we saw the medium kick right before, and maybe he just believed. And
yes,
right now I believe Fujimura getting that W because he's looking so dominant. Outside the distance for those buttons that you had talked about, the crush counter buttons, the party starters for V-trigger and things like that. Even on block, you're going to drop because Luke has some fantastic 4-frame -4 and up punishes, -3 and up punishes, I should say overall, because of his light buttons, leading into Oki, leading into the target combo. Again, this is just a fine matchup for Luke, and we're not seeing that experience that Narikun said that he had. We're not seeing it just yet, but that's only the first match. Let's see what Narikun does, what he's deliberating on. Take some adjustments. Have to do some soon.
Yeah. Now, normally it's not a commentator's place to kind of say like, hey, don't do that, but I will say, for like in a general sense, when it comes to someone like Fujimura, any sort of whiffs will be punished, right? Any sort of whiffs will be punished. This is a top 8 to top 3 caliber guy, right? Fujimura is well acquainted with any sort of strategies you implement against them. So you have to keep it tight-knit, right? That's just something I'm looking forward to from Narikun, because I've seen him play before. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of potential with Narikun. I think one of the biggest mishaps he had in that round itself, or in that matchup itself, was him whiffing a bunch of normals in front of Fujimura's face that led to so much free damage.
Right. Fujimura is not the type to leave that off the table. We have seen this dude dump out the damage if you get him a chance, so don't let him do so. Maybe Narikun could get close up and personal and utilize those mediums that are better this season. Even on block, they keep you nice and close and personal, but it's so hard to get in that distance. The medium punch checks him, the cross medium kick too as well. You're so afraid of what might come, but he's got to have some confidence coming through because this is game point Fujimura.
All fully confirmed. The flash knuckle, not too bad. Does it again? Now he has EX. He could land bigger damage. Dash up, no check from Narikun.
Challenge at least this time. You know that counter hit though. Back up the EX fireball. Gets the stun. Stocks up with a B skill. This is gonna dump. This actually is done. You're actually dead. No bar necessary. Optimal. Fujimura not wasting that bar. Saving it for the next round going down for the set point, I should say.
A little bit of extra damage too with that V-Skill 1, being able to get the perfect flash knuckle or the enhanced version. Ooh. Okay, that. The interruptions there from Narikun is not afraid anymore. That's what I like to see. Look at how much you get off of those lights into the V-Skill 2. I'm really enjoying that. There we go. Utilize that walk speed. There we go. Narikun.
He's fireball. I like that option. You so smart.
Could be some problem still. There we go.
Off the table.
For the mediums, he's contemplating it.
Oh, on both sides actually. Fujimura at now the range for super. If he gets a good conversion, and then after that, maybe super, he can seal it. Getting closer and closer. Oh, there it is! Off the crouching kick. But up.
This guy.
Bam! Fujimura.
He knew too. Master of lethal, man. Low forward could lead him to a lot of damage. You already knew it. Low forward. That's all she wrote. That's the name of the game when it comes to Luke.
So dominant was Fujimura up in that match. Nothing to take away from Narikun, but just the confidence that you can see the difference between the two players as Fujimura walking down. Even when things started going, off the table for just a little bit, Fujimura was able to ride it back with the better buttons and just understanding, my character can press these buttons at this point right here, and you will get caught and deleted and depleted. Especially the fact that we've seen him stay optimal and double as much damage as possible from Luke. Like, you see the difference in terms of the damage output from both the characters, and that also may lead into the fear of Narikun not wanting to press anything anymore. He was a little bit more pensive, a little bit less spinning the economy of buttons up in those rounds as they went down. So Fujimura taking that dominantly 2-0.
One of the things I did enjoy from Narikun, however, was towards the end of it, he started to utilize the walk speed a little bit better and not throw out some of the heavier normals. I think there was a lot to be said in regards to what Narikun was slowly starting to adapt to. I think in a longer set, we would have seen a little bit more potential from Narikun. But as it stands right now, again, with being on the away team, you're going to get counterpicked in the hardest way possible, so you have to anticipate that. But let's take a look at the current stats of the matchup, right? There's going to be a bunch of donuts on the board. Very little to no activity from the side of Narikun, only because Fujimura didn't really allow for that to happen, right? Didn't really take to the skies. Didn't really give an option for Narikun to even think about using EX uppercut, but the throw strike game. Now, although it being 3 out of 5, I feel like throws weren't even the name of the game for this matchup between these two, right? It's all been whiff punishes, couple of meaties as well. I mean, that's pretty much all it was, right? Whiff punishes for sure from Fujimura, catching people from low forward. That was a very, very simple, I feel like a very simple fight between the two, and it doesn't really need any further analysis, but that's just how it is, man. 10 points now on the side of Fujimura and Shinobism Gaming.
And oh man, now we're all tied up. We're gonna see who's gonna take this now. We're at that anchor match. I wonder who they're gonna send up. I hear the words, Luke, and I see Yamaguchi up on the deck, coming through to close things out for the anchor match. Yamaguchi, you know what? When I look at Luke, honestly, I love watching him play because he's so much more defensive, and he's so much more, like, I'm waiting for my right moment to shine. He's gonna need everything possible to take down the beast who has had a lot of practice against not only different types of players, but different types of Lukes. Daigo, it looks like he's focused on, so we're gonna have Yamaguchi versus Daigo.
Yeah, I think Daigo was anticipating maybe the G pick. I think Johnny was going to be like the flex player, depending on how the roster was going to be or what the formation was. But Habiko had also mentioned that Yamaguchi would be the player to face off against Daigo in his choice too. But I will say this: I think there was, I forgot what week it was when we were watching Yamaguchi play really offensively. I loved seeing that side of him. Honestly, I think it was when he was playing off against Higuchi's Guile. I think Yamaguchi's style of gameplay that he's adopted in regards to like the Guile matchup is way less defensive. I think is a little bit more active in particular to the Guile matchup, which is why he got the W over Higuchi. It might be a little bit different though, considering Daigo is actually a bit pensive. He's the one to kind of react to certain players and wait to develop the strategy first. So we'll see. Also, this is going to be a 3 out of 5 territory game between Yamaguchi and Daigo. So even if Yamaguchi happens to get a pretty solid advantage in the beginning of 2-0, longer set Daigo is, in my opinion, one of the most intimidating foes to face off against. Right?
He is definitely the Batman of the FGC. If you give him that prep time, he will stay fine. This dude, we've seen him in longer sets, even first to 3s, first to 5s, first to 10s. He knows how to just dissect a player in such a way that they feel like they never played the game before. It looks like they never played the game before. And he's able to just quickly rotate strategies. It's great to see him. He's longer set too as well. But Yamaguchi has to be prepared for this. If they set it up, I definitely think that he's got a game plan to fight someone like Daigo. Daigo says, I play against Luke every day, as we all do. Feeling a little bit pressure as playing as the anchor, would like to win and assist the team. So it's a little bit of pressure, but Daigo is no stranger to the danger. He has been through tournament, he's been anchor match like that. He has had a pretty decent record, 6 out of 2 in terms of wins and losses. That's more than decent. That's way more than decent. Let me fix my face right there. On the side of Yamaguchi, actually 6-3 so far for Yamaguchi.
I was looking at the current record with Daigo. I thought it was 7 wins out of 10. My mistake. I thought he had gotten so far he has 70 points. But as it stands right now, again, Daigo has been doing a pretty good job. I don't recall when was the last time he was actually anchor in some of the matches he was in, right? Not even in the initial run back they had against each other. I don't think he was anchor. Yeah, he was actually the vanguard with middle. So we'll see how this plays out, right? We'll see. This is going to be like the matchup, I feel like, more so for Nagoya Ojo Body Stars, because they really need these points, right? They need to get out of where they're at currently to really solidify their spot away from that 6th place against Gilgun, because they are currently tied with them. Or actually, no, they're 230. My mistake. They're 5 points away from getting that 6th place.
5 points away?
That's so close, dude. It's so close.
That's insane. We're Shinobism Gaming. They want as many points as possible and hope that Good 8 Squad drops on that top spot somehow. We'll see right here. First to 3. Again, Yamaguchi, Daigo. He's eating so many booms and so many normals. Crouch me to kick. Harassing too as well. EX gets a knockdown. Here's Yamaguchi, puts him in the corner.
Look at this, the aggressive plays. Yeah, that is going to be plus enough, actually, to get himself another mix. The interruption there from Daigo. After the throw, you're not really allowed to dash up. That is a -2 scenario.
Good check right there from Daigo. The V-trigger utilized. Cross cut DP. That's going to be a back throw, but Daigo's just walking it out.
That's totally fine for Daigo. He paid the toll of getting uppercutted on, getting out of the corner, and now he gets so much real estate to play with. We're going to see the activation. There we go. Yamaguchi actually in range for the back throw? Oh my god, he's so smart. He is so smart. I love that from Yamaguchi. Getting the chip damage kill.
With that bar back in round 2 or 3, if need be. Heck, Yamaguchi even said that this person was the reason why he became a fighting game player. He wanted to always play better than him. He's definitely feeling the pressure, but I'm not seeing it in the gameplay. Solidity right here. Medium kick, trying to check him coming in. Daigo would love to have a crush. Would love to have that EX bar utilized better.
He's the one bulldogging Daigo into the corner. A big mistake, and Daigo being able to capitalize it on, but not for too long. The V-shift break, excellent decision making defensively from Yamaguchi, and I love that. Challenging afterwards, forward throw, the roundhouse. That looked plus to me, man. I can't tell the timing, but I'll tell you what, though. Daigo's not even going to try to challenge it.
I like that. Better safe than sorry. Sling out the baby booms right there. It's the flash kick ender. The throw, he's got the bar at the bottom to seal this out. Might be able to have it his way if Yamaguchi goes for the activation.
Oh, chip damage is imminent. Daigo's trying to set it up potentially. Can you escape that?
No!
He's still within range. He was still barely within range. Yamaguchi was in a checkmate scenario and Daigo knew it.
Very expensive spin though to get that win, but however, you want to stay in the game as much as possible. Yamaguchi with 2 bars to play with, and we've seen what Luke can do. A little bit of juice. Yamaguchi once again walking to the corner, but Daigo getting a bit more aggressive earlier in this round to try not to be caught up in the corner so much. Back fist with the crush, flip kick, get the distance.
Yeah, we see the switch up between normals and fireballs. And Daigo has kept his approach, or sorry, his defensive play pretty ambiguous, right? A couple of stutter steps, it's so difficult to tell how he's going to try to strike back against Yamaguchi, and he smelled blood. He saw the stun. Look at how much real estate he gained all the way back. That's dead. No! There it is. I think it's not going to matter. Yeah, it's not going to matter. Again, so smart with the spacing. Daigo Umehara, back-to-back critical arts. He built all of that up so quickly. So quickly.
You know, there's the nerf to Guile, kind of a nerf, I guess. You give them bar with more of the sonic booms, but he's been so smart about switching it up with his normals and his booms, so he's not giving up too much bar, but he's keeping it so continuous with the pressure to build up EX on his side as well. And again, he knows this matchup. He plays Luke's. That's why we see the super continuously in Yamaguchi trying to be reversal, and it's not happening. It's not working.
Yeah, you get so much meter from the sonic booms now. A vast difference between like hit and block as well. So him building up that meter or throwing up some of these booms and then also keeping it ambiguous as to which normal he wants to use. Look at this. Yamaguchi's just running into a ton of normals now. His bulldogging ways are gonna be over.
Big jump in. No answer from Yamaguchi. Here's the activation, trying to run it back, puts him in the corner with the fireballs of the V-trigger sword. Oh, that had been an error. Daigo's going to capitalize. No surprise, going to hit him with that super to seal it.
More than enough damage again. I gotta say, it's so impressive to see the different variations of Daigo Umehara come into play so quickly.
Sonic booms again. This is the Daigo we wanted to see. I think this is the Daigo the Guile that he wanted to have. And he's a slow learner, but when he gets going, man, he is so hard to stop.
It truly is. It truly is such a problem right now for Yamaguchi. He has to change up his playstyle of trying not to run into so many normals on the way over and really pick and choose his spots. Man, there's the Ume flash kick we were looking for. He has to really pick and choose his spots and figure out when Daigo's going to be active. Just like that, the Sobot kick with the counter hit. He's not able to predict the movements against Daigo. And by the time he figures it out, Daigo is already charging for the extra sonic booms, the extra meter that he builds up. There we go, just outside of range of the bullet kick. Or the bullet knee, excuse me.
That medium kick, that crush medium kick, looks like it's harassing Luke in a way where you can't even counter hit, or maybe crush medium kick with punch medium like that. Daigo still looking dominant, even though he's stomping the corner.
Oh boy. Followed by the booms. Back throws. He's gonna be chipping away. And yeah, he has so much room to work with. Yamaguchi stuck between a rock and a hard place. A boom and a dap will do it too. If Yamaguchi lands this low forward, he could kill. Oh!
Oh, I just said!
That wasn't gonna be. That wasn't gonna be a time and place for Yamaguchi to move on into. I think he had the right idea of maybe utilizing the V trigger and possibly getting a punish with it, but I think it was a little bit too little, too late. It would have been super solid to see him maybe like activate it in reaction to a boom and then go for critical art, but that's so tough considering how ambiguous Daigo's been in terms of like whether or not he wants to throw a boom, throw out a knee bazooka, throw out fierces. He just occupies so much of the space where Luke wants to bulldog him, and it's really quite impressive again to see Daigo just switch it up this quickly.
I mean, we've seen these normals be whip punish. We've seen the upside down kick, the Sobato. All those get whip punished continuously from other Guile players. But as you pointed out, so ambiguous of what he wants to do. And I think even having that EX bar at the bottom in the bank just putting the threat on the deck for Yamaguchi to have to consider also kind of sims him down a little bit. He's like, bro, I don't want to get hit with that EX Sonic Boom at any point, or he might wake up with that reversal. And I feel like that's kind of pushing back that field-based playstyle that he had when he fought Ida-san, when he had said, yeah, I kind of just played by feel that time. It's harder to do when there's more to stop you. And again, well labbed out here by Daigo against this character. Staying at ranges where we haven't really seen Yamaguchi be able to counter poke with the mediums. All those blessed buttons of Luke are getting stopped and stuffed.
Yeah. It's tough too. What's wild about that is I don't even recall how many times Guile had utilized EX Sonic Booms, right? Daigo had been dominating even without it, right? Even in game 2 or in game 1, he had 2 victories with critical art, right? He barely utilized any of the EX Sonic Booms. I feel like he had managed to use like an EX Flash Kick at some point, but that was in game 2. So it's really impressive to see him kind of figure out what Yamaguchi wants to do without even relying on a Sonic Boom, an EX Sonic Boom, if anything, right? So we'll see what version of Daigo comes out. Warning with the fisticuffs, yeah, back-to-back forward fierces to start things off against Yamaguchi. Crouching jab to stuff him out. I love that counter poke. Look at this. So much activity from Daigo. Oh, the knee bazooka does get whip punish, but nothing behind it from Yamaguchi.
Yeah, not to charge up behind that. And that's just that mental check that Daigo's putting on him. Flying into EX. Keeps it meeting with the mediums. Yamaguchi gets swept off the feet. Nice little whip punish. But here's the buffer. Puts him in the corner.
I love that sweep, but into the activation. He's walking up to him a little bit too after the throw. No anti-airs! That's gonna be so unfortunate. Yamaguchi wasn't able to get the rising rocket against Daigo. Unfortunate.
And you saw him back up too. You saw him back up looking for that opportunity. Just didn't come. Only one left for Daigo to have to seal this.
It came and went. That's the thing. He definitely saw it. He had his opportunity. It's not that it passed him. He just got bodied by it.
See Yamaguchi get right back. More of those DPs, more of those confirms. Earn himself a W. See more games. More demon kick.
Oh, that could have been
nothing off of it.
He was still within range against Daigo as well to get him to confirm off of it. And Daigo, look at this again. Totally comfortable with fighting out of the corner. A different playstyle than the other guys we've seen thus far from Yamaguchi as well. There we go. Damage on the board. Watch out for the the flash kick. It was coming. We all knew it.
Daigo's activated. That's activating trigger. No back throw. Eats an EX boom. Back throw. Here it is. Daigo locking down in the corner. Hey, boom for the mix-up. Oh, you can't. Shimmy me. I'm gonna put you with the back throw, bro. Knuckle sandwich.
He wasn't confident. He wasn't confident in the throw baits back to back. He was out of range. He could have got the whip punish. It's so close. Yamaguchi needs this one opener. A couple of rock smashers peppering in the damage. Sonic booms from the side of Daigo. One touch each, I feel like. And there it is. The rock smasher past the projectile, and Daigo tried to get out of the way. One round apiece. Still on match point for Daigo. Still on set point, really, for Daigo Umehara.
Yamaguchi using that V-bar differently. We see the V-shift come right back out into the break against the fireballs and pushing down to the corner to make things happen. DP right after the medium knuckle. Back medium for the plus frames. But Daigo catching the walk back with a flash kick. No back throw, just a normal. Dragon's Flexo.
There's a V-shift break. Gives himself some space. I love that from Daigo. Full critical art on deck. Now he's in hot pursuit. Trying to check the loads a couple of times over. Yamaguchi's still getting caught in places where he shouldn't be walking. We might get that counter hit. We might get a confirm. Watch out. You need a single confirm from both. Yamaguchi's looking for it as well.
He's gonna crack first.
Oh my lord! Not a single button press from Daigo up until that point. Jesus. The stare down from Yamaguchi is too real. EX.
Uses an EX.
Taking some space.
Reversal, take some distance.
Reversal.
Back with a walking cross leaning kick. EX almost got a button. Yamaguchi has him in the corner. One more hit. Reverse activation. Neutral jumps the V reversal into the super DV. Yes, sir. Yes. Yamaguchi still in.
That was so smart. You were not allowed to V reversal in that very instance off of the cancel. You are 2+ to get caught by that V reversal, and Yamaguchi knew it. getting a full punish on Daigo. What a call out. That was damn near max punish. If it wasn't, I would be surprised. That was extremely high damaging from Yamaguchi. Well played.
Thing about Luca is that there's always have to be that was optimal to dump out as much damage as you want, like for 40-50%. But to have the call on the defensive read right there against Daigo to bait him out to do the V reversal was perfect and just what he needed. I think if you get that, you land that, that's the momentum that you need to shift things back in your favor. And I like that he's going for the commitment to put Daigo in the corner as much as possible, whether it be utilizing that V bar for the V shift and the break to call up the fireballs to get these confirms that focus on corner carry or what have you. I like the confidence coming back from Yamaguchi. We saw that with the Itazan fight where he was starting to get beat up, duffed up a little bit, but he said, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to get these normals going and flowing. I'm going to put you in the corner and I'll put you to rest. And it feels like maybe that field-based gameplay is coming back, but obviously there's scientific technicalities coming through with this character and this player. We see him call it the V-shift and stuff like that, and that takes a lot of mental work too.
I'm trying to recall when exactly the V-shifts were happening from the side of Yamaguchi. I think there have been a couple of times over where he had called out the sonic booms for the V-shift break. I think primarily from Daigo. I think he's used it a couple of times over, but I do like his usage of V-reversal more, except for that last instance, right? The one that got him killed.
Yeah.
I think overall, I think the V-reversals thus far from Daigo have been on point. I think Yamaguchi utilizing his V-gauge for the V-shift breaks, I think those are not going to be too bad because having a 2-bar V-trigger is going to be like, you'll be able to get it back so long as you have a decent amount of life left. I think you're opting for keeping Daigo in the corner so that he's not trying to finesse you with movement as often. I love the low forward confirm there from Yamaguchi, but even more so from Daigo. Look at this, so aggressive already off of the knockdown. Yamaguchi firing back.
Both of them. Yeah, pick it up with the buttons alike, just like that, get the target combo. Here's Daigo staying up the sonic boom. Yamaguchi walking and blocking. Trying to bet it all on this corner position. He's out of there. EXDP on the wake out. V reversal. There's that V reversal we talked about. But finally, whip punch against the upside down kick from Yamaguchi.
Corner position we were talking about. No suppressor, not a single throw bait from Daigo. Back throw, that's so important. Still not budging. Daigo's willing to take the throw. The snapback does get V-reversal. Boost. That was so smart too. What's crazy about that is like, yeah, Yamaguchi again going for the snapback. He was gonna make it safe, but Daigo knowing full well about that one, he's gonna V-reversal every single time. Oh, the throw bait.
Upside down kick.
Spin kick. Jesus, that's nasty.
We love seeing it. Now Daigo, we love to have a crush counter off these command normals right here. Every so often throwing them out. Maybe catch a fireball preemptively or one of the medium buttons. And every so often throwing out a boom. Anti-air.
Yeah, the crouching knee punch has been getting a lot of mileage against Yamaguchi's flight times. No frequent flyer miles for you, kid. Oh, okay, maybe I spoke too soon. As long as he times the sonic booms correctly, he may be able to jump against it. Yes, sir, he does get a counter and confirm. Very important to check the dash with that crouching jab. Yamaguchi now cornering the beast. And you know what happens when you corner a beast? You get to see his fangs. Sonic boom, back to back.
V-shift in a break. Puts him in the corner, V-reversal. Daigo does have the threat of the bar at the bottom. EX again, blocks it out. 4 fierce in the target combo, keeps him in the corner. V-shift, trying to get a punish. I like the idea, but still, this is still good. Yamaguchi has him in the corner. Trying to finesse and bless this man. Trying to put him to rest. No, he batted it, Daigo. Hits him with the flash kick for the kill. And that will put him 3-1 against Yamaguchi.
Not too bad. Not too bad at all from the, how old is he now? I gotta say, he's so tough to play off against. He genuinely is. And it's such a problem to even try to contest everything that he tries to do and throw at you. And you can see Yamaguchi stressing out just significantly. And although the smile's on his face, you know, he's thinking to himself, man, I got bodied. that's hard, yo. I'm not gonna lie, man, he got bodied. Like, but what are you supposed to do about somebody who knows your every move, fam? Like, what do you do? What do you actually do?
Bro, I don't know. The fact that you walked into the corner, you lost all that help walking him into the corner, and that mental stack possibly made him make that mistake. Daigo, it's just, that's, again, as you pointed out, prep time Daigo. You give him too many rounds of play, he will dissect you like a doctor, and he is sick with it. And again, getting that 3-1 win and getting Nagoya Ojo Body Star, another win against this team. Man, Daigo, bro, just, it's even beyond the matchup, beyond the Luke matchup, how he dissects people is just a sight to behold. Yamaguchi will have to wait a bit longer, maybe possibly see him in the CPT to get that run back.
These are the kind of points that we were talking about earlier that can really change up the standings, considering how close it was thus far into the leaderboards. We had a little bit of a glimpse of it. I feel like in the pregame show for Capcom Esports, or at least Capcom Fighters Japan, right? But just to kind of give you a glimpse of it, Nagoya Ojo Body Stars were currently in 3rd place with 230 points. They've tied themselves. No, they're just under Shinobism Gaming, just under by 10 points.
勝ち負けって起きるとは思うんですけど、いい方向に転んでよかったなと思いました。
Futo right here answering the questions from the interviewers. After the anchor match, he was glad to have been player 1, as we pointed out before. Futo being able to be that player 1 position and putting in work, calling out Momochi and taking down so he wasn't in the anchor position. And Narikun looking real beat up right now.
We're waiting to see what he's actually going to say.
まあでも、でもあれですね、名古屋王者的にはコーチのキャラバンが決まったので、そこまでに一勝しないと梅原さんのファンにやられるかもしれないんで、全力で頑張ります。
今日もナリ君オーダー出てコメントたくさん
So at least with Narikun, I need to. And then he laughs. We'll work harder. So, all right. So, a little bit from Narikun. Obviously, he was a little bit disappointed in his performance. Right? He's trying to improve as much as he can. I'd imagine, being in the same kind of training camp as Akira, Futo, and Daigo. He's going to get that kind of training because we've seen the kind of prodigies that come out of being under the wing of Futo and Daigo, right? Daigo had trained Kawano for so many years, and being part of Umehara Gold, you could see how close that they were as teammates. I think Narikun, again, still has a couple more weeks to show off what he's capable of. There's still some time.
Yeah, he still has a little bit of time to shine out here. Our Akira says he was in the reserve, but he has no words to say. The game's moved him. He felt good about his team's W, and we'll see if he comes back later on. But he's great. It's good to see like the that energy from the people in the reserve saying, good job, team, stuff like that. Sometimes that helps out with a boost to say, y'all can do it, sitting as a cheerleader. We'll see if he comes in later. But now Daigo, I can't wait to see what he's saying about the Luke matchup. And then also, I guess, how different Yamaguchi plays and how he was able to fight his way out of the corner if we do get that. But Daigo, just a master, man. At these first of 3s, first of 5s, long sets, definitely deadly. No matter what position, it doesn't even matter if it's the first or 2. But he's just so good at the matchup, but also playing against the player, as we saw in that match. Man, 3-1, super dominant. Still waiting on words from Daigo here. And I cannot wait to see what he says in terms of how he dealt with that Luke matchup just overall. Okay, says he's happy. He played against Luke the most. There are 7 different ways to defeat, conquer Luke. He thinks of Yamaguchi's playstyle. He thinks of a game plan. It was just as he thought. So he said there's 7 different ways to defeat and conquer Luke. 7 different ways. 7 different seasons.
I don't even know. I only know maybe half of those things, but in the mind of the beast, so many different things could go on, right? I think we're starting to see. We've seen him kind of showcase that on some of his streams as well. I think there's been a lot that he puts in the training mode in regards to what Luke can do and what Guile can do to kind of shut that down. I hope there's going to be a lot in regards to what the other Guile players, or I should say Higuchi, takes into consideration. But there's definitely some banter between the team and Narikun. That is a very respectful bow from Narikun. I'm kind of curious. Maybe he was talking about the practice and the work ethic he puts in, and is looking at Narikun as he talks about it, right? He did mention, as a side note, he did feel some pressure. He's been practicing offline, as he knew the games were going to be very, very important. So I'd imagine, I feel like there was a little bit of a shot thrown towards Narikun towards the end of that. Hence why we saw such a respectful bow, right?
That's right. Now let's look at the non-donuts on this side of things. Bust outs, perfect from both sides. Daigo with the activators and the anti-airs on both sides. Daigo with just a few more. That's what you like to see. You don't want to let Luke come in, but that one jump in was fantastic though on the side. Yamaguchi being able to call it that via reversal, I think that was a really fantastic thing. I like that Yamaguchi was calling out some of the defensive habits. It had his own good defensive habits with the V-shift into the break, but it was just the offense that was too much from Daigo. And I feel like that's such a difference that we saw Daigo months ago. I feel like he's a lot more active with his buttons, a lot more active with being that close range to mid-range gameplay. It's not just like Yamaguchi, or Higuchi, I'm sorry, but it's a lot more active than what Daigo's typically like, and I like this side of Daigo. Hope to see more of it as it goes through the league.
I think it comes with the usage of some of the lower, the crouching normals. I think Higuchi kind of gives it away when he's trying to deter you from moving in with crouching light kick. Daigo, I feel like, didn't utilize crouching light kick as much. He just went straight with like fierces too. I think there was a lot of normals he threw out with like the heavy punch buttons rather than the crouching buttons, because if you could see the amount of times he's landed some of those hits and kept it ambiguous with booms, you can see how much of a deterrent it was against Yamaguchi, right? Being able to reach from further out to stop him from moving forward and bulldog your way through, that was, I feel like, the important factor in that matchup itself. So very, very well done from Daigo. And yeah, he activated his strategy change like near instantaneously. So that was super impressive. Going into the matchups prior, I think the Futo versus Momochi match, that could have gone either way within every round, right?
Yeah, I really feel like we saw the corner carry continuously come through from Momochi, and the big boy damage that Cody can dish out. This looked terrible at first, but then Momochi started going for V reversals, started getting some distance with it, and putting him in those EX heart rate situations where you have to guess. You really don't have a 3-frame or a DP at all to really bait out anything, and you cannot even throw out a fireball. And when he's in that long to mid range, there's less you can really do to get through against poison. And he started going more and more on the side of Futo. You see him getting a lot of these side switches with the V skill, continuously the activations. This was a good call out though. We saw Momochi calling out some of the defensive habits, but it wasn't enough as Futo, I should say, kept him out continuously. Look at that. That's a great special. As the likes of Item would say, that's a fantastic special, and it kept him guessing. What do we have next?
That's the thing too. Even if Momochi had called it out defensively correctly, like if he were to jump and look for like some of the misconfirms from Futo, it was always backed up by something crazy, or at least something that would keep Momochi trapped. But I feel like there was a lot from this matchup in regards to how Fujimura was able to pretty much trap his opponent, right? I think this is the moment where, again, we saw Narikun not able to really get going, not really able to... Yeah, look at that. That low forward into nothingness, really. That wasn't even a cancel. That was just probably like a delay, too. Like, he tried to maybe buffer, but he got negative edge and got EX Tatsu. I don't even know, or EX spin kick. But I will say, in regards to like this matchup, it was a very basic kind of match that you would normally see, like very, very slow pace in regards to like the action itself. It wasn't like too in depth. I think there's a lot to be said about Fujimura's spacing and whiff punishing game. Narikun just, I feel like, gave a lot to Fujimura to deal with in regards to like getting whiff punished. But in the final moments too, these two matches, I gotta say, Daigo utilizing his V reversals well, also utilizing his critical arts well. We saw that in the first game, right? 2 back-to-back critical arts, pretty impressive.
Yeah, to build all that bar means that you have a strategy to do so. There were some good moments from Yamaguchi. We did see a lot of the V-shift in the breaks. We talked about that. But it's just the activity, though, from Daigo with the buttons, with the booms, making it ambiguous. Putting up those crush kind of buttons, as you pointed out, making so much mental stack that we see the jump in happen right there and no anti-air. However, this was a fantastic call, and I'm glad they clipped that because we see that Yamaguchi is looking for his defensive options from Daigo and blowing them up with, look at all that red, you're dead. A ton of damage. However, it was not enough. I like the ideas again. V-shift too far with the crouch mini kick. Maybe if you were carrying that would have worked. But however, Daigo, even call up in the corner, still super dominant, too strong, and just too hard to stop.
I don't even know that. I feel like that was just like a mental break from Yamaguchi. That flash knuckle is very negative. It's very much so negative, right? That's really unfortunate, right? Whether it be like any of them, I think any of them are going to be like very problematic if you just let it go that early. So as it stands right now, Nagoya Ojo Body Star racking it up, 30 points against Shinobism Gaming. But that's not going to be too bad against the latter, right? Shinobism Gaming with 10 points is still going to put them in second place, 270, getting closer and closer, inching their way up to the top against the #1 team. But I feel like that's going to be changing up pretty soon, considering the #1 team has to face off pretty much after this break. They're going to be going up against the V6 Plus FAV gaming squad.
That's right. V6 can get that W. I mean, they got the W in the finals that we saw last year. Let's see if they can get it this year. We're going to see who's going to go over to the playoffs. Remember, 5 seats. Only 5 teams can move through. And then we're going to see who's going to hit the grand finals to see what the strongest team is in Japan. And then of all the land, as that final team is going to go off against the US and the EU. I can't wait to see what's going to happen there. We haven't even got to the finales for the US and the EU, so we haven't even seen who's going to be qualified and solidified for that. But either way, it's going to be fantastic play to possibly send off Street Fighter 5.
You know, I've been paying attention a lot to the Street Fighter League EU scene. Funny enough, I haven't been able to remember the scores of Street Fighter League US, but I feel like I think the Nasser X Bandits are currently like dominating the charts right now, if I'm not mistaken, for US. And then, which is kind of funny to say, but only in regards to them not being in the EU scene, which is wild to me. But I think with the EU scene, it's been very, very tough, actually. It's a very, very close game between all of them, and it's been super enjoyable to watch, man. The talent out there has been phenomenal. I gotta say, man, if there's ever a debate between like Street Fighter League US and Street Fighter League EU, even like Street Fighter League Japan, I would love to have that kind of that friendly debate in regards to like who's got the top talent, because it's really difficult to call, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like US definitely has some power, but EU, brother, every week I see EU shine, and it's amazing, man. I get blown away every time, every single week. It's kind of wild, but that's exactly what we can expect, right? That's the kind of action we expect coming in from any type of Street Fighter League, and I love the way that it's been improving year after year. The talent has just been so phenomenal. With Japan, it's been pretty much the trendsetter, right? I feel like Street Fighter League Japan has been at the helm in regards to being the powerhouse of Street Fighter for so long, but as it is right now, I think we might have a fair contention between the 3 leagues, and I'm really excited to see it.
Can't wait to see it. We're getting closer and closer to that finale, closer and closer to our qualification out here for Street Fighter League Japan for all of those scenes. And I can't wait to see who's going to take it in the end. Be the most dominant team in Street Fighter 5 at the Capcom Cup. Make sure you all are watching all of it on the VODs on YouTube if you miss anything, not only here, but for the other leagues too as well. Because as you pointed out, all of these leagues have super strong competitors, and it's going to be honestly hard to call who's going to take that victory. Now, coming up, we still have way more action to go. Good 8 Squad, the most dominant team of last season and this season, going up against V6 Plus FAV Gaming. My brother, Good 8 Squad won last time, but then in the finale, they lost to V6 or VA Gaming right here. I'm so excited. Bro, I can't even talk right now because I'm so super excited to see this run back. I know that they want that heat. It's coming. It's coming. And I'll tell you one thing, things being different in the wayside for V6 and Good 8 Squad, seeing on the home side is going to solidify something different for the strategy. And I can't wait to see when Street Fighter 6 is going to hit. I can't wait to see Jamie, brother. I can't wait to see Ken. Those are my picks, but maybe Gao if he still stays strong.
You know, I'm not looking forward to it in terms of the Guile play. I'm just kidding. I actually love seeing the stuff that's been developed over time. But Jamie, Kimberly, those are my picks. Jamie, Kimberly, and Ken and Jury, I think those 4 are like, they're so fun to play. All jokes aside, though, I think right now, it's a good time to be a Street Fighter fan. We've got so much to look forward to, right? In regards to all the Street Fighter 5 action, we also have the World Warrior events coming up. It should be like maybe a slide coming up, which we usually see, right? I think they're having their one of their qualifiers happening on the 27th. That is 2 days after Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken, over here in the States at least. If you're viewing in stateside, you got to mark your calendars. Everywhere else in the world, you'll be big chillin'. But as it stands right now, it's a pretty close race, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot of ambiguity as to who's actually going to make it into the big dance, or at least into Capcom Cup, because I think the top 8 qualifiers of this region they're almost pretty much set. They're almost pretty much set.
They've shifted back and forth, and it's so hard to call who's going to be in the top 8 spot. You see your favorites not make it in some months, and some other months they kind of do. But I'll tell you one thing. The players that we see consistently are Street Fighter League Japan players. They're sharpened out here playing week after week, trying not to hit defeat, trying to be the strongest team out here, and I feel like that helps embolden them, empowers them up, and trains them for that CPT qualifier too as well. So not only do you want to get that qualification for Street Fighter League Japan, you also want to qualify for the Cup next year, and stay as solid as possible to get that last year possibly Capcom Cup champion. I'm not sure, but Street Fighter 6 on the horizon. This may be the last time you can claim the 5 Cup.
It's true. We're going to see the big rematch from the 2 top contenders of last year's Street Fighter League. Is going to be Good 8 Squad going up against V6 Plus FAV Gaming. If you guys have been following along, first and foremost, we thank you guys every single time you guys stay up and, even give us a follow, a shout out, and everything else too. Even being in the chat, we do highly appreciate you. This is going to be the run back. We'll see how it plays out between these 2 teams. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Street Fighter League Japan.
YouTube の高評価、グッドボタンもこのタイミングでポチッとお願いいたします。この後は試合準備のため休憩に入らせていただきますが、21時20分からは第11節 Day1 マッチ2グッド8スクワット対 V6 プラスファブゲーミングの模様をお届けしてまいります。それでは一旦失礼いたします。
ご安全にな。
お、新入りかな。いい顔に撮れてるじゃないか。改めて担当教官のルークだ。よろしくな。
手加減は期待しないでくれ。
さあここからはマッツーの模様をお届けしてまいりま
This
す。
is it right here. This is going to be the battle to make sure who gets into the playoffs, at least for V6 Plus FAV Gaming, right? They're going to be facing off against the kings of the league. That is Good 8 Squad. Will they be able to get the run back and get as many points as possible to ensure their spot within the top 5? Or will they falter? Let's check it out. Who's going to be coming up for the V6 Plus FAV Gaming Squad? Of course, it's going to be Sakuroko, the Sure Spear, leading the pack with that Minot, followed by the Genius Pro Gamer. That is Tokido, one of the fighting game gods, now utilizing both Luke and Urian, followed by the Executioner of Justice, Judgment himself, Papa Bonchan, coming in with a backup Luke as well. And of course, I feel like this is the MVP of the squad. The subspace Sansara, Tori Meshi, with a very, very difficult to catch Dulcie. Again, this team, fully solid, fully sturdy. I am looking forward to seeing how this run back happens against the #1 team that is Good 8 Squad.
Yep, Good 8 Squad was the winner last time they met up in the league. And they definitely have a good squad right here, starting off the Hiroshima Predator himself, Gachikun, with that sick sheet, showing that character is still top tier out here. Speaking of top tier gameplay, we have the Cosmic Boxer himself, punching from the heavens, Pugera. Right after is going to be the next gen Evo champion, the new wave, Kawano, with that Carlene play. And then the man that made the pack with the Wind Devil himself, it is Dogura. What a team, what a squad. The pedigree, you see, is super high. And not just of the players, the character choices have allowed them to succeed and take that dominant spot. 310 points currently sitting in the top spots on leaderboards. That is quite a bit with it.
Yeah, it's really up to V6 Plus FAV Gaming to kind of scrape away some points from the Good 8 Squad and get as many as possible, because at the moment they are currently sitting pretty much at the bottom of the top 5, right? They're looking at currently 5th place, and in order to even get within the running, they have to get a little bit further than that. If anything, they need to get as far away as possible from Team Gyogun, who are currently tied with them at 225. But looking at the current roster, right, it's Bonchan with Luke, Tori Meshi is Dalsim with the Vanguard, and in that final part of the roster, we see another Luke come into play with Tokido. Now, we can talk about the picks right here now, actually. Hameko had actually mentioned Gachikun would be the one to face off against Tokido, but it looks like it's going to be Pugera. Actually, Pugera is the one that's going to be going up against Bonchan, one of the other Lukes. My mistake. So yeah, it is going to be Pugera going up against either Bonchan or Tori Meshi, depending on their placement, but since it's both, I think they want to utilize Pugera specifically for Bonchan.
It makes sense. I like that overall as a matchup, you know, Balrog versus Luke. I think he does a just fine job in the early days of Luke before he even got nerfed. So like a lot of Balrog players said that matchup was absolutely fine. I don't want to say like Balrog had just won and washed that character, but it felt like Balrog did a fantastic job. So he also had that right range of the -4, the dash punches to interrupt the fireballs before they even come through. You do have to be careful. -4 is going to be difficult to deal with, because if you are -4, that allows Luke to get those big fat punishes that allow him to Oki off those lights. But Pugera's playstyle has been real good this season. We've seen him be at the forefront of all the Balrogs, having great defense and offense. And Bonchan, though, says, well, I think we'll be okay. Pugera says, I think so, too. I agree with what Bonchan says. I love this back and forth between the two players.
It's so funny. Like, Pugera, he could be like the biggest troll. Really, if he wants to be, right? He could be really profound in his statements. He could kind of get to his own head, but when it comes to how he's feeling that day, he could be the biggest troll. But, you know, taking a look at Pugera's current stats, right? There's nothing to really troll about. I think Pugera being 5 out of 7 thus far, having 90 points on the board, he's been absolutely pretty much in his lane, getting the points he needs to get, right? 5 out of 7, getting some of the big important points as the anchor. He's doing just fine. I think he's above average, slightly above average, right? In comparison to someone like Bonchan right now, looking at his stats, it may not really be the same kind of comparison, right? Bonchan had slowly started to get his points accumulated, especially from last week, or I guess not last week, but the last game he played. He's starting to really come into his own skin and finally get some points on the board.
Yeah, he's 3-5 right now for wins and losses, so he's starting to steadily climb up a little bit, and it feels like he's getting a hold of how Luke should play. He's one of those players that like Tokido just has to find the right style with his character, especially with the nerfs that have come through and all the anti-loop strategies that we've seen before too as well. The last time they fought, it was Pugera's victory. This was an anchor match, so it was a first of 3, but this one's a first of 2, so a little less time to deliberate and see what's going to happen. So I'm sure that Bonchan's looked back at that match, even the day of, I'm pretty sure, or maybe the day after, and immediately wrote down some notes and said, I have to get the victory next time if I meet up with this dog. But Pugera, if he's going up, he's got a game plan too as well. If he's going up for that run back, he knows that Bonchan knows what to do in this matchup. So I can't wait to see the adjustments of both players and what they're going to make to get the victory.
I actually made I think I was looking off of possibly like maybe the older stats from the side of Bonchan. I think I was. But yeah, so Bonchan sitting at currently, what, 3 out of 8. Yeah, he got his W also from the last week that he played. I think it was 2 games straight. We're starting to see him kind of come through it and really starting to put some points on the board for his team. And again, they're in a very peculiar position, right? In a spot where they're in a tie, near a tie, at least like 5-point differential from the team above them, and pretty much getting themselves a spot into playoffs, right? It's going to be so close. And that was a very, very quick look at the stats. Again, 30 points for the side of Bonchan, 3 out of 8 thus far in his current performances. In comparison to Pugera, though, again, with 90 points and 5 out of 7, it looks like in terms of statistics, he's been the favorable one. But how has it been, I feel like, for Pugera and Luke? So I'm going to take a look as we get ourselves ready for the matchup.
You take a look. I'm just watching out for Pugera's playstyle just in general. I love how defensive he is with Balrog, utilizing V-shift, V-break, and things like that, and how he spaces himself out for the anti-airs. It's really hard to jump with Pugera because he'll walk back at that right range to get the upper, and that's difficult to do, but he calculates it just perfectly, and if need be, he'll run that medium.
Yeah, so Pugera had actually had a decent amount of success. He had taken out Nauman's Luke, or at least in one of the games to force a switch. He had taken down Fujimura, I think, like a full sweep, if I'm not mistaken. Any weeks outside of that, yeah, we talked about him taking down Bonchan's Luke as well. Yeah, I mean, even in week 3, Pugera faced off against Nauman. I mentioned that earlier, but everything else, he's been the Luke killer.
You gotta be. You gotta be out in the league. You gotta be out here in CPT. You gotta be out in Street Fighter 5. You gotta be a Luke killer overall. And that's what the kind of part of the tale of the tapes that we've seen out in Street Fighter League is how are you dealing with Luke? And not just Luke, how are you dealing with these players that are starting to find the new play styles with Luke as they start to figure out how they want to play the character, as they implement new strategies and things like that. We've seen that with the likes of Tokido, where he's been less about just like poking away and finding more and more of those hit confirms every so often. That pestering lane style is still there. However, he has added more to his repertoire. So I'm curious to see what Bonchan has for us today, because again, you do not want to be losing 40 points out here, or walking away with nothing, I should say, and giving 40 points, a bigger lead to the likes of Good 8 Squad, so they can solidify their seat at the finals.
Yeah, but that's going to be a pretty tall order considering the significant W that Good 8 Squad had gotten over this team in weeks prior, right? This is, again, the run back between the two Titans. These were the two teams that faced off against each other in the playoffs, in the grand finals, really, from last Street Fighter League. We're looking to see, you know, maybe a similar result from the Good 8 Squad and taking down the V6 Squad, but we'll see, man. It all really depends on how the playoffs go. This is more so a trial of survival, more so for V6, and for Good 8 Squad, honestly, it's just going to be just trying to get more points on the board to keep themselves at first, because even with Shinobism down below them at 270, they still need, man, that was such a detrimental blow to Shinobism Gaming, by the way. They need another week to even try to catch up against Good 8 Squad. So we'll see how that plays out, man. That's going to be it's going to be a lot for Good 8 Squad, or sorry, for V6 Plus FAV Gaming, more so than Good 8 Squad.
I mean, they've been looking at themselves, looking at the team, I mean, in general, we've seen them have the downturn. We've seen them not be so dominant as they were last season, or at least, you know, coming as the victors of last season. I feel like they had that bullseye on their back for people to be, we have to take down this team. We have to really put our hands on the sticks. And I feel like it's been a bit since we've seen them on the upturn, but finally we're seeing them come up, only surpassed by the likes of Saishun Kan Sokomoto, Nagoya Ojo Body Start, and Shinobism Gaming, as you pointed out. But to be in contention, to still have to fight out for these points, shows you how deep the league is in terms of talent, how close things are in terms of the player base out here. Where last year it felt like a clearer difference between the teams, maybe a little bit more. Now it feels like everything is so tight in terms of contentions. Kamiko had said this previously. We've been seeing it previously. And again, as you pointed out, V6, they got to come through and come through correct. Let's see if Bonchan, again, has a game plan. If you get close enough and personal to let those -4s be punishable, to put the pressure on, and act that same sort of walk down aggressive play that we saw from his Karen previously, enacted into the loop. We see glimpses of it. We see promises. Let's see the full result.
Yeah, so for the most part, I'm looking forward to seeing how Pugera is going to keep Bonchan away. I think there's a couple of things to really note. Is a lot of the Luke players thus far have been really taken to like a bulldog kind of style against characters that like to keep the space between the two players, right? I feel like with Balrog, it's a whole different story, right? The only reason why you would kind of keep the space is maybe for like dash punches or whatever, but I think Balrog's primary objective is to get in your face, right? In terms of the normals on paper, like just like the regular standing and crouching normals, I like Balrog's buttons on paper a lot more because of what they are on block, right? There's so many different ways to lead into decent frame traps to knock down the Oki scenarios, or even frame traps to get even into like the throw strike game. I think Balrog does a pretty decent job with that, right? So I think overall, I would like Balrog closer than I would like against Luke.
That's fair. You have the fireballs too as well to help space yourself out as Luke, and you can play at many ranges. But in terms of like what he gets off those buttons, Balrog does just fine. Let's see if we can stay fine against the likes of Luke, the likes of Bonchan, an Evo champion himself. And as you pointed out, you know, you want to get up close and personal. That may be stopped and stuffed by the fireball play if it's on point. Going to be reactive and predictive with the V skill. KKB. If you're Pugera.
Here we go. We're going to see how this plays out. Looking forward to it. Good 8 squad versus V6 plus FAV Gaming. This is game number 1. Pugera versus Bonchan. Already starting things off with the Balrog. Pugera looking to see how Bonchan's approach is going to be. And already testing him a couple of times over. I don't like that. Coming in hot from Bonchan. Already into the corner. Roundhouse. Nope. That's a -2 scenario.
Back medium punches though. Plus, peppers them in. Flips them low. This Pugera's trying to shine right there. He's got the X bar to threaten. Well spaced with the -4 dash punch. Making sure it's not punishable. And not dealt with by Bonchan.
That could lead to a lot, I feel like. Yeah, stand jab into sandblast. Gassing up, stealing some turns away. Pugera not ready for it. Gashing up again, no check.
Medium kick gets the great life off. In now, crouch medium kick. Ends it with a DP. He's gonna go for back medium punch. Gets the deep just jump in. Locks it up. Pugera's gotta find a way to activate. Bonchan knows it. That's why he backs off.
He's chilling. Oh, was that close enough for a standing light kick, maybe? I don't think so. Either way, that's standing light kick is still going to be is going to be 5 frames anyway, so that's not even going to punish him. And he's looking for like a crouching jab within that, or within that range, or even crouching light kick, even though it's not canceled.
Nice challenge right there from Bonchan. Calm coming in, and no activation from the side of Pugera. Strange to see Pugera not utilize that V-bar.
Oh, anti-air, you already know it. The rising rocket denied. Pugera off to a fantastic start already. Now gets the bulldog his way against Bonchan. The punish against the sweep.
I love that.
That was actually
dash punch.
hella meaty.
Pepperoni slush on the side. Boom. With activation.
Let the sweeps win.
Bonchan.
What? What was that?
Big mistake from Bonchan.
The run from out of nowhere. Nothing to avenge. Oh, man. Not today. Pugera checking him in his approach. There's a lot to be said about Pugera's game plan right now. He's been pestering so well with the crouching medium punch to start things off, and then eventually getting the big openers. But speaking of big openers, Bonchan tried to sneak in. Again, he's been doing this a lot against Pugera, trying to sneak in some dashes, or at least sneaking some walk-ins, thinking Pugera's going to sit still like he did in round 1.
Nice to fierce every so often too as well, challenging some of these light buttons. And maybe a fireball before it can even come through. And that's allowing Bonchan to not sling out that projectile, put down the plasma.
There hasn't really been a chance to. Yeah, I mean, Pugera, I think there's not really a lot to be feared of what Bonchan's been doing thus far. And yet, Astro with the mediums too. Pugera keeping his movement ambiguous as well. You can't tell when he's going to charge up. And this is the range where it's such a threat. Bonchan doesn't even want to try to throw a fireball too because of V-Skill 1. There we go, the reversal out of the rock smash.
Nice jump back. I'm coming in with the EX. Goes right for the super.
Okay.
Ooh, perfect. Won't kill, but it will put him in that prime position. That one hit to do. He's got the V-trigger to back himself up.
That's so tough to call them. Ooh, that could have been dangerous. There it is, activation.
Anyone's game. EX. Almost wasting out the dash punch, but get hit with the V-trigger at the right time.
Oh my god. That is so dangerous. Absolutely so dangerous. And it's tough too, even with Rock Smasher. I think even if Pugera had V-Skill 1, I don't think it's gonna be like invul enough to get past the Rock Smasher. That's probably the most dangerous thing. Right, but I will say, I think Pugera did a great job of deterring the fireball game from even happening by staying within range of V-Skill, right? He would kind of walk up, crouching medium punch, and then kind of give away the space a little bit by backing off away from Bonchan. If he saw Bonchan trying to walk up, he would also try to like either dash punch a little bit early to prevent the -4 punish, or get up in his face and then apply crouching medium punch pressure again, or even stand jab pressure. So I do like the overall game plan from Pugera. I think it's a matter of now trying to like force Bonchan to mismanage his meter, I think.
Yeah, make him spin that V-bar. Make him spin it for V-reversal, or even V-ship some of these situations, so that you won't have to deal with the V-trigger. And then enact that pressure that you had pointed out. And then put on the standing fierce. That button also really good at that right range where Bonchan might want to throw out a button or a fireball. We like to go back to like the medium area. Overall, Pugera has a game plan, but as we pointed out, maybe making him waste that V-bar might be the way to play. However, on the side of Bonchan, it's a few mistakes he has to clean up just to seal it on his side of things. So we'll see. He's on game point right now. He's looking to finish it now.
And this is something that was a big difference in regards to the last time they had met, right? Bonchan actually started things off with his W, and overall, this game being at the start of the battles between the two teams, you see the heavy impact getting blocked, pretty much giving up the turn to Bonchan, but still being able to smother Pugera. Then we go out of the corner a little bit, just trying to swing away with some of the fiercest. A lot of them not being able to connect against Bonchan because he's been slightly out of range. There's one! Still not able to get a meaty.
Bonchan with a couple buttons. He locked up in the corner. Good challenge on the dash in. Bad situation. Pugera is using his plus frames, but now gets the activation off the target combo. And waits and baits. He was looking for that DP. Trying to knock the lights off this man sitting back throw.
Oh, that was so meaty. I love the use of the V reversal there. Bonchan not really looking to utilize it. I totally get that.
V reversal again. No V-trigger to have to deal with. This is good for Pugera. We'll go ahead and the super will seal it. Bonchan doesn't even need a super for that kill.
I think if
land those jabs.
I think there's definitely enough space for Bonchan to create himself early, to get himself a V gauge, but I don't think he's gonna need it against the critical art. It's so tough to even try to throw a sandblaster. He has to do this the right way. He has to do this with normals. We'll see. Will he take that risk? I don't think so.
So back
6
like
seconds
that.
on the clock.
He jumped in.
Jumped and you gave it away. You jumped in and you put yourself in a... You put yourself in a 50-50 scenario, man. That's so dangerous.
Bonchan getting a little too anxious.
Oh.
Paying the toll for it. Set point stealing away from him. Pugera back in the same position he was in previously. On the combo at the ready, puts him in the corner, knuckle sandwich with a throw. Fierce meaty, be reversal on that plus range situation. Doesn't want nothing, no part of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Ooh. That's a medium punch, Akibari in the space again, trying to go for at least a start over snapback. There's a snapback right there. Got medium punch, able to get the throw. The dash up does get interrupted.
For an opening with that heavy kick. Would love to have a crush with a follow-up. He's got that V-bar at the bottom for the extension. He's also blocking Bonchan in the corner, caught him raw. Will make it fall with the EX. A lot of bar utilized. EXDP from Bonchan with a big bump out.
What a risk to take. You were dead, by the way, if that was blocked. You were absolutely dead, by the way, if Bonchan got his uppercut blocked. Pugera not ready for it. Didn't think that was going to be on the cards. Didn't think that was going to be on the table.
We did see Bonchan utilize that previously, and I'm surprised that Pugera wasn't ready, but it shows Bonchan being able to hide his intentions behind his buttons a little bit better. Things are going around. Oh, crush with the fierce. Pumping the V-skill. V-skill once again. Go to door, Bonchan.
See the bulldog. Oh, no, he was crouching. Couldn't get the screw-upper. Frames up to that, backing away, just trying to weave in and out of traffic with Bonchan again. Officer Bonchan, he's here. Give him a little bit of a stopping ticket for going a little bit too fast.
16 to 25, I need you to slow down, partner. Ooh, too fast, too furious right here with the EX dash punch. But Bonchan dashing in with his own challenge. Flip out with a counter hit, but he's still there. Right in front of his face again, the knuckle sandwich.
You have the activation ready for Bonchan. Will he utilize it? Yes, he will! That's off the throw bait, doesn't get punished. And the rock smasher, that's what I like. In that range, that is so hard to deal with. And Pugera knows it as well. I think once the trigger was activated, that gives him more of a checkmate scenario because he wouldn't have to be afraid of throwing out the V trigger, right? He wouldn't have to fear any of the dash punches. He wouldn't have to fear V skill 1 as much in comparison to just having the Sandblaster by itself. Does that make sense? Like having that to back up any like gap closure would have been totally fine with Bonchan. That gives him what, 2 games straight? Huge difference than what we saw from the last instance between the two.
And not getting baited out the meter, you know, we talked about that previously. Like, Pugera would love to make him spin that bar for the situation to not happen, for those moves to not have an ender right behind them, to not have to deal with the fast fireballs from the V-trigger side of Bonchan, the side of Luke, I should say. And that just didn't come into play. I think we saw Bonchan get a lot more aggressive, a lot more of the dash-ins come through the situations. He definitely got a little antsy that jumping up the medium. He didn't have to do all that stuff right there. But overall was able to square it away with the fireballs and just keep it really big and keep that V-bar built up for V-trigger for that express purpose to seal it. Good stuff to Bonchan. The revenge.
Amazing stuff from Bonchan for sure. I think there was a whole different side of playing that game out. And I got to say, that's tough to manage too, especially with the way that he had gone up against Pugera the last time they met, right? I think there was a lot to be said about Pugera's dominance in the neutral. I think there was a lot to be said with how he had played some of the normals that Bonchan had initially run into. There was a whole different kind of game plan from Bonchan where he was still able to steal turns from Pugera very early on in the matchup, right? I think there was a couple of instances where he was able to dash up and not get checked even after a forward throw. If you're dashing up, right, you have 17 frames of recovery after that throw. Sorry, 15 frames of recovery after that throw, and your dash up as Luke is 17 frames. You are going to be checked majority of the time if the dash comes out, and Pugera just wasn't ready for that in game 1. I think that set the precedence for a lot of the rest of the match, the rest of the rounds, because Pugera was so reluctant to even try to move forward. Even towards the end, right, he started to get a little impatient and dash up towards Bonchan. He got checked. Officer Bonchan was checking right at the intersection. How many times did he breeze past that stop sign? I think like 3 times over in the end of that set.
The camera's on. They caught him. They got him in 4K today. But right now, FAV with a big lead right here, or starting off with a pretty big lead, considering how bad they were when they fought previously against Good 8 Squad. Previously, 40-0, but now at least FAV getting 10 points on the board and starting off strong. Who is going to come up next? They're focusing on Gachikun, the Rashid play today, and that does make sense because Rashid is one of those characters that sim players, rare as it may be, do complain about. So just see what we're going to see on the side of Sim as, you know, the turn against that character, because he's got the light mixer to get in. He's got them dive kicks that we see. He's got these easy ways to curtail against a fireball play against Sim. So Rashid, very good pick. I like this. I like this.
Solidified? I think it is. Gachikun Rashid. Okay, okay. So
実際ラシード有利なんですよね。
はい。
なんですけど、ちょっとワールを止めたり、飛びを全部落としたり、壁張りをちょっとちゃんと咎められれば全然戦えます。全然戦えると。なんで、表してます。いきます。
Yeah, I think there's a lot of expectations for Tori Meshi and the team. I think they knew full well that Rashid might have been the pick. I'd imagine that's something he's going to say, or something that's going to be translated to us very shortly. But Gachikun Rashid, huh? I think this is something that maybe Hamigo also didn't expect as well. He actually expected Gachikun to go up against Tokido in the anchor spot. He had actually mentioned that in the pregame show. And then the choice for Tori Meshi was actually going to be Pugera. But I think because of the shift of Pugera going up first, I think Gachikun is the one to take down Tori Meshi. Now the question remains, how is this matchup going to go between these two? And who is going to be the player to go up against Tokido in the anchor spot? My bet is it's got to be Kawano, right? But that's speculation for later. Either way, Tori Meshi coming in hot, right? He talked about the matchup itself, right? Rashid versus Dalsum. That match is set to be in Rashid's favor, but Tori Meshi is looking to prove people wrong. Gachikun himself, he says, has been practicing for this. He would like to show everybody the fruits of his labor, essentially. Right, so we're looking forward to seeing how hard Gachikun works pretty much each and every one of these weeks, but on a personal level, St. Cola, I want to know how much of a problem Tori Meshi will be for someone like Gachikun. Because Gachikun also one of the best defensive players we have. We're going to see if someone who has slightly better defense throughout the league will be able to take it down. But I will say slightly better, and I do mean that, I think. I think Tori Meshi has been very, very impressive on quote-unquote active defense. Right? So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
I definitely want to see what happens in this match, because we've seen Tori Meshi be more flighty and more movement based than other sim players. We talk about that consistently, and that's part of that defense, is staying away from the danger zone, being away from those problematic points, being away from this character that can chase you down. I'm really curious to see how Gachikun is going to catch him if he can. You know, is he going to go to the air approach a lot? Is he going to go for medium mixer to catch him if he goes for float? Obviously, if we get hit in float state, that's a full combo, and we've seen the likes of Gachikun capitalize. But it's going to be hard, because Tori Meshi, again, I feel like he's such a different sort of sim. A lot of sim players do not take the skies as much as him. A lot of them are way more solidified in where they stand. We see him like round start, medium kick, and they don't like to move and shift too much unless they have to. Tori Meshi is always moving, back dash, forward dash. He's floating, he's everywhere. He's doing the Barma Baileys all around the screen. I'm curious to see what Gachikun has at the ready. We've seen Gachikun be one of the most technical players in the business, always having an answer for everything that's put up on the table. We saw that when he fought Futo, and last year we see it every time he fights a player. He always has something new from Rashid, and that's a very versatile character, so there's got to be something in the bag for a character like Rashid to take down Sim. It's just, what are you going to bring to the table against someone as flighty as Tori Meshi?
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be not... I don't know if it's going to be as much of a problem. I want to know what it's going to be like when Gachikun is on the back foot on the defensive end, when Tori Meshi applies his offensive pressure. I think there's a lot to be said with Tori Meshi's defense as well, but his offense could be quite impressive, right? I mean, he puts people in the blender a good amount of times, and it's kind of weird to say that Dawson putting somebody in the blender. But I will say this, I'm curious to see what the offense is going to be like also from Tori Meshi. I want to know if he's going to make Gachikun flinch a couple of times over and force him in some of these really, really bad scenarios after like maybe a blocked instant yoga gale. We'll see. We'll really see. I think this is going to be a very, very difficult test for both players. But I'm not too surprised that this is going to be something that Gachikun kind of like steps up to the plate too. I want to know what it's going to be like trying to get past the plethora of normals Tori Meshi is going to throw out. I don't think for a second he's going to be throwing out as many Yoga Fires unless it's EX.
Yeah. Unless he knows it's going to actually put this man in the block in the blender like that. And I also want to see what he does if he chooses V-Trigger 2, or if what V-Trigger choice is it going to be. Is he going to look for the hit confirm with the V-Trigger 1 to allow him to have the assured cook, or is he going to have the mix with that V-Trigger 2? I feel like, if I remember correctly, he was one of the sim players to really popularize that V-Trigger 2 choice, and we're going to see what happens between the two, and that defense coming through from either player, and also offense.
And here we go. It's going to be game number 2, Battle of the Vanguards. It's going to be Gachikun from Grade 8 Squad versus V6 Plus FAV Gaming. Tori Meshi standing by with Dalsim. So far, it's been so good for V6. Already changing the pages of the history. We'll see how it goes now. And we talked about the normals being presented. Yeah, changing up the timing. Using the Eagle Spike to interrupt the anti-air attempt from Tori Meshi. But now we see him take this guy's a little bit. There we go. Now you have to worry about the airborne strikes.
Side switch with it. Caught him leaving. I like that. Catching the V reversal. Talked about that offense, but here's offense right here. With the Eagle Spike, puts him in the corner, puts the reverse jab. The Abare. Dive kick plus. You can't press. Oh, ear to ear.
Oh, that was so meaty. Yeah, that snipe was tough to even try to handle. It could have been anything at that point. A very aggressive start from Gachikun, trying to close the gap already. But we talked about how much of a blender Dawson can put you in. Ooh, yeah, catching the whirlwind shot actually. Tori Meshi just pretty much sitting right on top of it.
The post set combos, I love that. Gachikun. Grabs him in the corner, heavy kick, would love to have a crush. Side switch with it, reversal jab immediately. Gachikun, trying to get that stun. He's gonna get it done. Love that bar and the Eagle Spike corner carry. This is more than enough damage at the deck to do it. Doesn't even need a bar necessary.
Final round.
Evening things out.
Advantage on behalf of Tori Meshi. Already building up that critical art off of that hit. And now, again, being able to control. Yes, sir. EX spinning mixer. I feel like Tori Meshi had landed before that spinning mixer had come out. Oh, he has to hold that. Oh, he doesn't really have to hold that, I think, but a back throw might be able to stun. Oh, he misses opportunity for the big counter hit stun. All his life. No, he's trying to trick out Gachikun. Is he going to be able to get it back? No, he's not able to. It's way too far gone.
Still one more quarter to play with that ball. Put outside for Gachikun to maul. Has him caught for the corner. Caught him finally getting the 3-piece that he wanted previously. And now we see what happens when Gachikun puts you in the corner. The blender, Sim can definitely do so. But Gachikun, Rashid is tailor-made to do so. I should say Gachikun because I feel like right now he is a premier Rashid singular player, solo player, but he has all the tools capable of taking out any player because he's so well-rounded. His corner pressure, his confirms, his optimality, he's got it all.
The contemplation from the side of Tori Meshi. I'd imagine he's getting a couple of words from his teammates as well. And they've been pretty chatty so far. They've been pretty chatty pretty much throughout Tori Meshi stepping up to the plate, I feel like. So much so that Aru actually had to tell him to quiet down during Tori Meshi's interview. I don't know if you guys caught that, but they were all interrupting Tori Meshi's interview. And at one point, Aru had to tell them all to calm down a little bit before the game started. But as it is right now, Tori Meshi is looking to reassess the situation. I don't think he did a bad job at all against Gachikun Rashid, right? He had the game plan 2 times over, even stopping the opening gambit from Gachikun in the second round where we saw the opening spinning mixer. I think there's a lot of control from Tori Meshi. I think there's just some moments where he gets, as soon as he gets knocked down and bullied in the corner, Gachikun pretty much runs away with it. And it's been pretty convincing.
It has been, you know, keeping a big use of what he wants to do. Setting up the whirlwind shots at a distance where it's hard for Tori Meshi to contest. Previously, I felt like he was kind of getting dash challenged too often, and that's allowing the side switch to happen from Tori Meshi. Now we see him going for like fireball pressure at that right range and then feeling, you know, testing the water, feeling the swarm and getting in. Right now, already getting in off the empty low. Left fadeaway ain't gonna matter, dog. That's a 1-pointer.
No, he tried to go for instant air Yoga Gale. Had missed the input, got the snipe anyway. The thing is, a little bit of a barrier between him and the snipe from succeeding, and I say that's a life bar.
Oh, careful,
the big swipe in. On the crush counter, but still not enough. Yeah, get out of the way of the meaty slide. Nice work. Trigger is on deck for Torimeshi. Will he be able to set up? He needs a knockdown. Oh, actually, no. He gets a medium kick. Oh, he's in there. It's block stun.
Feet reversal. Like the side switch right here. Stays off, but there's still one more on the deck for Torimeshi. One more hit to connect, or the throw. Gachikun rolls in to get the win.
So sneaky, too, because I think Torimeshi could have punished that. I think Gachikun got away with murder. He slid for home base on that one because I think Torimeshi was looking forward to seeing the V-skill go all the way through and then get the punish.
Labbed out here behind Gachikun off the backboard, but there's an anti-air right there. By that pressure, that approach. EX, DP against these dodge kicks, stopping them from coming through. No plus range if they get stopped. Oh, right mixer again. The chase down.
You get the V-trigger 2 again! Torimeshi not even bothering trying to charge them. Oh, the V-skill 1 connects. Actually, that was trade. Here comes the trigger 2. Followed by the whirlwind shot. We haven't seen it yet, and that's going to be more than enough. Torimeshi 2 times over making the decision to use V-trigger 2 without the ball. Like, he just let it rip.
I'm not sure why. Usually we see him have some sick mix-ups with it, but so pensive. Maybe just using it just to get out that situation, but I'd like to see more of that mix with it, right? You know, I'd like to see more of those sick conversions and combos that he has put on the deck that he's popularized with that V-trigger. But it's so hard. Maybe the mental stack was too much like that. We've seen him get jumped in on these awkward angles that Rashid purposely goes through as a cross-up situation with a jumping medium kick or just jump fears, empty lows and things like that, aerial approach, real confident by the side of Gachikun. And again, one of the most confident in the business because he is so well-rounded with this character and so well-labbed out in all situations. Hard to stop a guy like Gachikun.
Yeah, that mix-up could have gone either way, really, too. He could have gone, like, off the wall, created another layer if he wanted to. Dawson's going to have a hard time getting himself out of the corner on that one. I think I've seen that a couple of times over, where even Dawson's trying to utilize, like, maybe slide to go over a normal, and they end up getting, like, punished on the way down because Gachikun had gone off the wall, or Rashid had gone off the wall. But taking a look at the anti-airs, again, 3 out of 5 unsuccessful from the side of Torimeshi, and some of those big blow-ups just allow Rashid to even get themselves started. We talked about the anti-airs being so prevalent from the side of Torimeshi, or at least from Dawson players all around. But once you get in airborne, that is so much to deal with too. And Rashid has those tools, right? We saw the delay on the Eagle Spike. But one of the biggest things that Rashid can do, the throw mix game right there. 2 out of 9 from the side of Torimeshi. That spells a lot of danger, and it also spells a lot of real estate taken away from you. The landlord is here to collect that rent. If you don't have that money, you're bound to get evicted, and that's exactly what Gachikun did. Got him 2 months straight, 2 games on the board. Dang, back-to-back, he gave you an eviction notice, brother.
So it's time to pack it up and leave, but we're going to see who's going to be toe tagged the bag and sent out of here because we're in the anchor position. We have Tokido squared away. You had mentioned possibly Kawano going up, and I'm curious to see if it's going to be Kawano or the likes of Dogura. I think either player, either character could do well against maybe edging more on the side of Dogura. He's shown really good promise against that character, really good promise against Luke just overall. In CPT and also actually for the league itself, he's got a very promising record. However, it's going to be the Evo champion coming through Kawano. I'm curious to see if he's going to show us something different. We've seen Lucia, but we've also seen the Colleen play just as fine.
Pretty sure it's going to be Colleen going up. And yeah, I think we confirmed it as well. I think Adu had mentioned it, saying it's going to be Colleen going up against Tokido. And I do like this from Kawano. He's had a lot of practice, more than enough practice against some of the finer Lukes around the world, right? Tokido, again, no slouch being one of the 2D gods, but as it stands right now, I think with Tokido, right, he hasn't found the most success with his character as much. Sure, he's above average with 85 points, being 6 and 10, but still, I think Kawano might have something to say about that, despite being a little bit on the back burner, right? Not playing as many games as everybody else in the league. I'm kind of eager to see what he's going to bring to this particular matchup.
As he pointed out, Kawano having a lot of experience against Lukes worldwide is a huge benefit. Being able to fight Lukes from at Evo, like the Birds and things like that. Tommy and all the rest of these Lukes, getting a different taste of the different sort of Lukes that you have to fight. And even in the league, will definitely help him out in this matchup. But Tokido's so different. He still has that lane style that you see continuously. Poking away with lights and mediums every so often, not really landing big hit confirms. He's getting better about that because he knows that he has to put the damage on with Luke. You have to access the big charge combos if you want to make the most out of this character. However, he still has that pestering style with the fireballs and the normals every so often. And then he puts you in the corner, then he harasses you until it's over. He does not let you leave. So I think he's really found a better solid style with this character now. He's really found a more solidified style. I think that really came through the World Warrior event. Seeing him work against Daigo and the likes of other players in that top 8 spot, I really feel like he's found his way to play with Luke. So curious to see what Kawano has to say against this sort of Luke, like what his game plan will be, because the fireballs are going to be a big pain point for Colleen and even the normals too at some ranges.
I think the style that Kawano plays is kind of tempting players to try to swing at him, or at least catch him slipping. It's going to be just fine. I think Kawano, again, being one of the harder players to catch in the counter poke game, has been like his forte for so long too. And like, I think his ways of tempting players to press buttons as well has been so good. Like his strike throw game also is one of the best in the business. But we'll see how it plays out against someone like Tokido. Starting things off with the Sand Blaster. Just one. Now another. They're looking into it. Oh, that's huge. That could have been bigger, but
yeah,
not by much, really.
Off that medium would have been great. Kawano playing real patient right here. Only getting walked to the corner. Those medium kicks, back heavy kicks. Kawano introducing those crush counter buttons against the fireballs and those lights that Tokido would love to do. Still, the walk in the throw. Is it meaty?
Oh. Huge. Hold the icicle. Back throw now. No way. After the tick throw attempt, we get the EX Rising Rocket from Tokido. What a call out.
Back in the corner you go. Parabellum. Tokido taking back his turn. On the punch out of the distance. He's got the V trigger. It's definitely going to help him out in this match. Even harder to contest against the fireball gameplay. Against the zoning gameplay, I should say. Careful with that medium kick. Can be whip punish.
Yeah, any solid different can do it for Kawano. Rock Smasher to keep himself safe. Jump back jab against the Vanity. That jump up could have been crazy, but now Kawano does get the opener. Back throw. 10 seconds on the clock.
Try to get as much health as possible. Oh, caught him leaving with the challenge with the jab. Just a dab. All he needed in that 6-second scramble right there. Tokido taking it at the wire.
Super close set thus far. I know it's only been round 1, but still, there was so much meter spent from the side of Kawano just to get those openers against Tokido.
I mean, pitches the fireball to the back medium punch and the lights too as well, making it real ambiguous.
Oh, did we see the crush counter there? The standing heavy punch placed perfectly against Tokido. Dash up 2 times over. Taking his turn right back. Tokido trying to slowly find his way out of the corner. We see the counter pokes pretty much flying away from Kawano now.
A little bit of damage. That cross-counter kick could have led into more, but he still gets the Oki off the target combo. And again, backs up the Slave style. He's the activation though. Kawano with some damage on him and some corner carry in the tech. That's no part of that strike throw.
Ooh, he tried to dash into what though? He tried to dash in. Air crossing heavy punch with the range. Yeah, I mean, like the trigger's still out there. The jump back anticipation from Tokido. Perfect.
Lost a little bit more. What Tokido would love to play. One more hit to do it. The fast fireballs will make this man fall. You're gonna be so worried about that. And then the jabs too as well. Kawano knock biking down. He can't back down. The time's running out. Ooh, the walk-up throw. So Tokido's game, the lane rise, EXDP. Massively done to go with that EXDP. Holding that black stun. They take that victory with the timeout. Tokido.
There's a lot to be said about Tokido's gameplay right now. He hasn't been throwing out a lot of limbs to get counter poke in the first place. He's kept it very tight too. You see a couple of the crouching jabs too to kind of tempt Kawano into throwing some of the normals out, but there's been a lot of pensiveness. I think that's the only way to really describe Kawano. I think there's a lot of reluctancy to even try to get counter hits against Tokido. Because Tokido hasn't really thrown out any big risk normals.
Yeah. We only got crushed on, I think, maybe once with the Fierce. It's those buttons, and that is a really good sign for Tokido to be able to play the same play style with the jabs and the fireballs, hiding his intentions, and then walking in and crouching medium kick. Maybe not getting the most off of it, but it's adding up in that annoyance factor where Kawano is dashing in, getting challenged, not even noticing that the V bar is flashing at the bottom and getting hit with that EX fireball right there, the V trigger flavored sword. So I wonder what the play has to be from Kawano, because he has to be able to get in that mid-range gameplay and act that pressure regardless of what Tokido's intentions are. That back heavy kick, the medium buttons have got to be put on the deck. He's got to be able to chase Tokido down, but not taking too much help off this deck, off his side of things, I should say.
There we go. You see a lot more of a closer start from Kawano, moving his way forward. Tokido's caught wind of that, hence why he's throwing out a couple of more sandblasts. He's a lot more active in that regard, but you see the utilization of the V skill 1, right? That's going to be a great deterrent against the sandblasters. A little bit shorter off the mark now. Tokido is starting to get opened up as Kawano gets closer, weaving in and out of traffic a little bit. Not a single button from Kawano in that moment, but Tokido again letting a couple more sandblasters rock the heavy impact. Not your turn anymore. Still a couple of thrown shots between both.
Look at this block right here from Kawano, blocking every dang shot. Look at that, perfect block, and now get the dash counter situation. This is so much cleaner than what we saw from Kawano. Purposely walking and blocking those fireballs and putting Tokido up in the corner. Now he's in jail, no bail. Here's Tokido, he's got the money. But V shift and break puts it right back to square one.
Oh. Again, we're trying to get some of these instances where Tokido can kind of like bait out Kawano. Oh boy, well that's actually pretty cool. A lot of lights behind it, so it's not going to be as damaging, right? That's a good chunk of damage for sure, but it's not going to be like very detrimental to Kawano. I feel like it's going to be enough for at least a time over victory, or at least I thought. Kawano's not going to let go yet.
Whip punish.
Ooh, that could have been
about to drop, hold the throw. He quick rise. DP.
My God, Kawano gave it away. Kawano gave it away. The vanity step gets clipped with a rising rocket at the tail end. Or like right before the jump, I should say.
Smart play there from Tokido to watch out for that. But I would like Kawano to maybe delay rise, stay on the ground for a bit. The time run out. Dash in, counter hit. Bad situation for the Oki, and now gets a finesse and blast. The DP puts him in the corner. No cross cut DP. Kawano taking advantage of the situation. Another meaty.
Four thrown out. This is something, a very similar sequence we saw from Kawano earlier. It didn't lead to what he was looking for. Does get the triple impact, and now, Tokido. That could have been so tricky. It's still plus frames back to back, too. Layering it on a very tricky manner. Kawano has not found the right way to defend against Tokido yet.
Ooh.
The interruption, that could have been huge. That could have been triple impact, maybe too far out. He didn't trust the distance. What a punish against the sandblast.
Down to the ground. Yeah, fantastically timed right there. And he gets the side for the 2. Keeping that set up as much as possible. And you can put on the pressure. That stuff's gonna stay there. Frozen state. Like Parabellum.
There it is, yeah. More than enough. The triple impact interruption off with a crouching light punch. We see how effective that normal truly can be in interrupting. I think that's like a lot of reward you get off of a light. A decent amount of reward, I should say, you get off of a light without any sort of counter hits involved. Tokido playing in a very, very difficult manner for Kawano to even try to like utilize his game plan, or even his game style overall relies on, I feel like, counter poking, right? And Tokido's not even giving him that. That's so difficult. This is very, it's truly annoying for Kawano.
I mean, any player I think this would be annoying for, but even more so for Kawano, like not having the confidence in the back heavy kick and the crush kind of buttons or the buttons to stop them, those lights and things like that. He had finally found a way against the fireball somewhat, but even when he puts Tokido in the corner, it's like, why can't I finish this guy off? Why can't I get this kill? I'm so close to doing so. One touch might seal it and things like that, and it's just making, I feel like, the mental stack more and more on the side of Kawano to try to fight back. This is the style we talked about for Tokido, this hit and run with the fireballs. Not maybe landing, again, the biggest conversions, but does he really need to? He's poking away, and he'll hit the super if he needs that big cash out. And right now, he's going to cash out some big points. He's on game point against the Evo champion.
Yeah, it's really tough too. I think like the way that Tokido plays, really, I think that you could really get away with it with someone like Colleen. I think Colleen isn't really going to be doing a lot of like any sort of like chip damaging or allowing any sort of gray life to really accumulate, I feel like. Because look at this. Now he's turning it on, all offense. He's also within range to jump too at a sharp angle if need be, but still, what? He just ran into it wrong.
That's button Dartar right there. Some of that might be because of fireballs. These fireballs are stopping Kawano. Even though he's walking, blocking, he's taking a lot of chip with it. The challenge.
It's...
Open up. Tokido, lock doors, lock windows, lock garage.
I feel like he doesn't even need to lock any of them. He's got bars on him regardless, man. He's got the metal bars already installed. Ugh. I love the air throw. Covering the advantage that Luke can get at a sharp angle. Oh boy. We got the snapback. We got the rock smasher follow-up. Oh, do it again.
Walk right into it again. It really is. I mean, we already saw him walk to block the fireballs, but with the V-trigger adding even more mental stack to deal with like that. Set point, Tokido. You died for Kawano.
If they can get this 30-point victory, this is going to be huge for V6 Plus for Rising Rocket finds the mark. No longer in that corner, but still, yeah, that's... I feel like that Sandblaster was a little too close for comfort.
Wraps him in the corner. So he has a conversion. Unfortunate. Big chop right here. Kawano gets the space. Side switch with it to put him in the corner. And now enact that strike throw pressure. Then worry about back heavy kick, medium punch, and this activation too with extension. About to find a win. Doesn't even need a stun. It's just done.
We mentioned it earlier, right? Kawano is very good at forcing his opponents to press buttons where they shouldn't, right? That slight walk up just at the right timing to get a standing jab and full counter hit. That was the side of Kawano that we're used to seeing. I don't think we have, we've seen Tokido even give Kawano that kind of chance before outside of these past couple of games. So we're starting to see Kawano slowly come back to good graces.
Having been around stars definitely helps.
How many times?
Not right now.
That was so sick, man. Tokido has had so many counter conversions off of that stand jab. It's kind of insane.
There.
He's playing so annoyingly, which is fantastic. You can see it really getting to Kawano little by little. Look at that! He's tantalizing him with the movement.
Say, do it like a lumberjack. I wish you would. Press a button. Crush me kick, slight hit. Kawano's trying to play at that same pace. It's not going to work out. He gets that punish right here off the backboard. EX. Watch off of it. Tokido.
Ooh.
One more good conversion. We'll seal it.
Kawano could do it. 25 seconds on the clock. He's got plenty of time. What's the frame kill scenario? There's the throw. He could definitely do this. He could equal it up. Oh no! Oh yeah! Not bad at all. Vanity step past Tokido. Stun is rising. So is the uppercut. Ugh. So smart.
Beautiful.
Absolutely so smart. That avoided everything. That would have avoided everything that Tokido pressed on Wake Up, right? And it would have been just fine. Had Tokido woken up with nothing, that would have been the problem.
Absolutely, but Kawano staying solid, being able to play at the pace that he wants to play at, being able to play it the way that he wants to play it. However, there's something from Tokido that we need to see more of, is when he's getting these hit confirms, when he's getting these combos going and flowing, they have to be stronger. The output has to be there, because if you stay optimal with Luke, that's 40-50% of the other person's health off the table. We don't typically see that from Tokido. He doesn't really stay, almost like, I guess, yeah, I'll say, like, not as optimal as other Luke players when he does land these hit confirms, because he's so predicated on just light punch, medium punch, things like that with the target combos in the Oki and being pestering and being annoying. He's not really focused on finding the most out of the hit confirms that he can. And now I think he needs to. He needs to go to that game plan where he's like, I need to dump out some damage.
I think it's quite the opposite. I think he's been the most optimal. All the conversions he got off of standing light punch have been counter hits. He went immediately into crouch jab, flash knuckle. Like, according to his game plan, the way that he's been hovering around the ranges that he's trying to play against Kawano outside of counter hit ranges, he's been the most effective, I think. There's been, there's a couple of instances where he's not trying to even try to go for like low forwards and get the big damages that we're expecting from Luke. But in the style that he needs to play against Kawano and avoid the counter hits, he's been so ridiculously optimal too. He's been checking safely with crouching jabs more often than not, except for that one instance right here. Kawano again changing the timing against Tokido. There we go. Yeah. So these moments right here off the counter hit, he's creating space for himself to get out of the corner. And anytime he gets a stand jab counter hit, it leads to soul punch. There's one. Now he's feeling the pressure.
Yeah, that's a good point. See if he can route things up a little bit. Already had a better round start. Slant the fireballs comfortably outside the back heavy kick range. Caught on the dash in again. Talked about them jabs. Taking off the table. Not letting it hit with the back heavy kick from Kawano. And again, another challenge.
This is tough. This is tough. Tokido again. Also has V-Trigger on deck. He does have a nearly loaded bar critical art. Man, just dashing in there. Even after the rock smasher. Oh, it's rolled. No more trigger on deck. Oh, that's huge. No, that wasn't a counter hit. He couldn't really do much off of that.
In and out, putting the low force on the ground. Nothing off of it. We'll still get the jab. He's still fine. 10 seconds on the clock. Kawano gonna drop with the DP follow-up. Tokido, man, you're right. Style. It's working out. Optimal with the jabs.
Oh. Oh, that's it. Look at the damage. And look at the carry. That's huge. That is absolutely such a huge beginning for Tokido, but no. He thought Kawano was going to sit still, the crouching jab to start things off. But I think he wanted that, actually. Now that I think about it, I think he wanted to force the activation from Tokido. Or sorry, from Kawano.
This is fine. Let that bar wind down. Doesn't deal with for the corner carry. Oh, no. It's all out, though. But that's not a lot of damage. And Tokido still keeping some space. Will not pin to the corner yet. In fact, it's not against the wall. Reverse jab. First jab again. Fireball situation. Tokido still gets way out of the corner. Get this game plan. Easy folks. I honestly don't know.
Oh, he
get that.
Two times over, Kawano has found significant openings off of these dashes in this round in particular. Oh, that's it! That's it! That's more than enough! Tokido is gonna get the W for the team! 2 hits in it! But more than enough to follow through. Yes, sir. Tokido with V6 Plus FAV Gaming takes it down against Kawano in the anchor position 3-1 in the most solid way possible. Tokido, this is Tokido's way. Looking to play in the most slow manner against the counter hit game plan that Kawano usually implements. This is the Tokido way.
Man, this game plan is hella annoying, and it did not allow Kawano to do what he wanted. A lot of drops, man. I think any player fighting this sort of play style, they're gonna have to be prepared to chase him down, and they have to be careful about how they hide their dashes. It's so difficult. We did see a couple dashes from Kawano. He can't be perfect, But Tokido was like 90% right. He definitely called it in terms of the game plan. All he needs are the jabs and the dab will do you. The lead in Oki, to lead in the corner carry, back medium punches, and just keeping things safe, simple, and solid. Tokido taking for his team in V6, getting revenge in the end. No 40 bombs for you, good A squad.
I don't know what it was about Kawano in that particular match specifically. I can't recall the last time I seen any of the sweeps from Colleen. Like legit, I don't recall seeing any of them outside of that match. The two that he decided to use were both blocked and severely punished. So I think the dash up strategy also was fine. I think he had a decent amount of success against Tokido. I don't think it was that high of a success rate for Tokido punishing it as much or like as high damaging. But I think Kawano, again, like towards the end of it, his dash ups and his timing against Tokido was starting to be hard for Tokido to even check consistently. But the sweeps, man, I don't know what it was about those sweeps. Those were a little suspicious, to be quite honest with you, but that's just how it goes. Those were two big mistakes from Kawano, man. And I think that was just very, very lucky for Tokido to get those big openings. That's just really unfortunate.
I wonder if it's got to be that game plan, that play style that just makes you so annoyed that you just want to do something. You just want to hit this man with anything, a crush counter button, a sweep, a back heavy kick, whatever it takes to get the momentum going flowing, but that did not happen. So Tokido had stopped that. And I like also Tokido saving his bar for the super to equalize things and stay clean. Or the EXDP every so often. We just see that get baited. He took it off the table immediately. But I like his bar usage, his meter management. Just that gameplay is so difficult to deal with. And as you said, this is Tokido's way for victory. Bonchan with some words. We're going to get the interview real soon here. It looks like Bonchan says, I looked over at that match I had lost. As a result, Pugera looked like a loot killer. I'm just so happy. I'm guessing to get that victory, to find a W against the loot killer himself as Pugera.
Yeah, that was well deserved, I think. The way that Bonchan had played that matchup, 2 wins straight against Pugera. There's a lot to be said in regards to how he changed up his strategy entirely and not let Pugera kind of bulldog his way through to pushing him into the corner. Because again, on paper, I think I like Balrog's almost a lot better in regards to like mid or at least close quarters. Actually, anything close quarters, Balrog is so tough to manage against.
さあそして、今回は待機選手となりましたが、佐古選手いか
Tori
がでしたか
Gachikun is a good player against Dal Sim. And we definitely saw that. We saw how he got mauled up in the corner. Tori noticing that. Yeah, he got cooked, but that's how the matchup usually goes. And Gachikun was so ready. But it looks like Sako has some stuff to say. We'll get his interview here in a second. We didn't get to see him play, so I'm sure he has a lot of great words for his team while he was sitting on the bench to cheer them on and then at the end congratulate them. We'll see what he has to say while he was sitting in the stands rooting for his team as cheerleader.
そうですよね。じゃあその時にいつか、楽しみにしております。ありがとうございます。はい、それでは
I imagine he's got very much a lot to say. I'd imagine he's also one of the big interrupters against Tori Meshi. But Sakonoko, very, very straightforward. Great teammates. Was thinking this match was going to be a tough one, but they played so well.
Outside for Tokido. So curious to see like what his play style, like him describing his play style, how that matchup went. I was confident against Kawano overall.
Yeah, I would love to know if he ever actually gets to talk about it.
Looks like he says he's so happy. He played on the away team, but he felt confident. And honestly, that confidence we saw in the game plan, right? Not changing too much away from the jabs, things like that. Predicating his offense and even defense too as well, with crouching light punch and things like that, and getting the most out of the target combo whenever he could.
A couple of extra words coming in from Tokido. He had made his initial statement previously, but obviously he was ecstatic to get that W over Kawano. I'd imagine that's something that's, you know, really something to look forward to, especially against someone who reigns the title of, you know, Evo champ to Evo champ, right? That's a pretty great clash of of giants. Really, 2 champions going head to head. So there's got to be a lot going into it. But even looking at the matchups prior, right? Tokido had actually fallen short against Good 8 Squad, and that was against Gachikun. He actually fell 2 games straight. So him being able to salvage a good amount of points, getting the team even further up there at 255, if I'm not mistaken. Taking a look at the leaderboard, yeah, again, being able to skyrocket past Saishun Console, past Nagoya Ojo. Wait a minute, not against Nagoya. They're at least in 4th place. My mistake. Yeah. So yeah, again, being able to skyrocket past at least the threat of being in 6th is pretty good for V6. But looking at it right now, Tokido truly was ecstatic. Him being on the away team wasn't going to diminish his confidence, but there's definitely a lot of confidence brewing with this team, as you can see right here. Look at how excited they are.
Cheering right here to get their run back, to get their win, especially not leaving and giving, Good 8 Squad another 40 bomb to walk away with. But V6 just in general, it's great to see their rise, right? They had a decent showing when things started off in the league, but then just dropped suddenly. And again, that shows you how good the competition is out here for them to have to really reroute the ship and say, what's our strategy? We need to get better as, loot players. We need to get better as, our strategy and just in general where we place these characters, these players. Maybe we need to bring out the Sagat every so often, or maybe we need to really shore up our game plan. And that led to the victory today for V6. Super sick to see them kind of get back in that same seat. We see right here in terms of the anti-airs, a lot on the side of Kawano. That's actually really good for him to have a lot on the side of a character that has been nerfed with her anti-airs not reaching, the crouch fierce not reaching as it should unless you're in V-Trigger. Not so many on the side of Bonchan, but the bust outs were coming hot and heavy on the side of Bonchan. 67%, not bad, 2 to 3 in terms of EXTPs.
From the side of Tokido.
Oh, Tokido, that's what it's saying.
Right? Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I was thinking about it. I was like, wait a minute. But yeah, I think the bust outs again, they were pretty huge. I think the one that was missed was the V-shift one. Like that was the EX uppercut on Wake Up from Tokido. Very much so called out by Kawano. But in regards to the throw strike game, again, we've seen how dangerous Colleen can be. You would much rather take a throw than eat any sort of counter hit normal while Colleen has meter. So very, very well played despite not having the successful amount of techs. He doesn't care, man. He knows how the story goes. He's going to get thrown regardless. So I do like that from Tokido. I do like that from the V6 squad. Very well played. 30 points on the board for them. That is a very big W against the players who faced off against them in the playoffs. I'm loving the back and forth, man. If it ends up being these two again in the playoffs, I wouldn't be too surprised, but they're going to have to earn it, right? They're currently sitting at least further away from the bottom line, which is going to be super significant going forward in these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but man, the way everyone's playing, I can't tell who's going to take that top spot right now. We're going to go back with the review as we see Bonchan getting better and better with this character, better and better with this loop play. But Pugera did have some good moments of V-reversal, things like that. Looking to try to bait out the V-bar from the side of Bonchan, didn't really work out. And this great bar users got the super right at that right moment, right at that right height. Usually we see the dropout if you're not correct with it, but Bonchan, well calculated. Good stuff from Pugera to put him at the corner, but just wasn't able to seal the deal all the way. And the fireball play was part of that reason. We see that V-trigger coming through a little bit, trying to get the timeout. This was a kind of a weird situation where he kind of jumped in, but to see him route it back like that as a pro player, that's what you got to have. It's like, okay, I made the mistake right here. Let me try to close this out, get back to my normal game plan. The EXTP bust out. Pugera was not expecting that one and got his lights knocked out. V-reversal. And again, here we see Bonchan back in that V-trigger situation where he does not want to be, where Pugera does not want him to be.
And this is where it kind of got a little bit dicey. I was looking at Tori Meshi in this particular matchup where there was 2 times over. Actually multiple times over where he utilized V-trigger 2 and opted not to really use it, right? In this particular situation, Gachikun, I think there were multiple times where he was able to get just too much pressure on Tori Meshi once he got the engine going, and you can see the amount of lockdowns he's had against Tori Meshi. He's treating it like it's 2020 all over again. You're gonna have to stay home in quarantine, my man. But we're taking a look again. The V-trigger, he opted for the mix-ups and the block string afterwards, but again, he wasn't even able to really get it off, right? It's just been really unfortunate. There we go. Once Gachikun was able to kind of get past that threat and activate something of his own, it was only a matter of time until Torimashi got caught up in the blender.
Now we see a little less of the blender mixes, things like that. Just solid gameplay from the side, likes of Tokido. Utilizing those crouching lights, those light buttons, mediums every so often, but really predicating his defense and offense around those buttons that take round after round, making the likes of Kawano break down. And we've seen, we actually saw Tokido talk about the fact that he played with Nobukun, who was another Colleen player, to kind of get this experience. He said young players are becoming really good, strong players, and it was enough to help him get ready and steady for this matchup. There were some good moments where we did see some crush counters, some dashes come from Kawano, and honestly, that's going to happen. You can't be perfect on your dash challenges, and we did see some good side switches too as well, but it just wasn't enough. Tokido would get a big lead and force Kawano to overextend and be in some bad situations. We saw some bad sweeps that didn't really land. We saw just him dashing in maybe too much. This was sick to bail out the V-shift. Perfect option against the timeout right there. Either way, and Tokido still with those jabs, just a nice, easy, and kind of sleazy when we get down to it. Game plan to just make Kawano break down and risk it for the sweeps too often, just like there, the punish.
In this particular round, there were 2 sweeps that got severely punished. And there wasn't a lot of big openings either, too. Like, I mean, like, there wasn't a lot of like big sequences. It was just big openings from Tokido. 2 times over in the same round, like that's too much, man. You talk about that mental stack. There was just, that's too overbearing. Kawano may have thought like the counter hit would have been there, maybe like the counter poke would have been there, but Tokido was not budging at all. And that's gonna be like the tail of the tape, really. Tokido just taking 2 big high damaging combos to finish out the game, and we see it right here, the away side getting the big advantage, 30 points to 10 in both of the matches today. Very impressive. Nagoya Ojo, Body Star, Mildom, as well as V6 Plus, FAV Gaming. They're going to take it against the #1 and #2 seed, currently riding in the playoff spots. Very, very impressive to see, and I got to say, man, the way that things have been shaken up, we see it right here. V6 now popping up over Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto, who are going to be playing after the weekend, so they have a shot at greatness, or at least to change things up. Same could be said for Gyogun right there, just 5 points away from making that breakthrough. But as for Kamufla Detonation, they need everything, and I do mean it. They need everything for these next couple of weeks. As for Hiroshima Team Mikasa, I will say, at this point in time, they are no longer in the running for playoffs. All they can do now is do their best to prevent points from being taken from their side of the stable.
That's right. Play spoiled to the other teams. I'd like to see it still. They still got that heat. They're still practicing. Everybody wants to shot the points out here, but again, only 5 are going to qualify and move on. We're going to move on these next matches soon. Next time we meet up, Team Detonation is going up against Team Itsuka, and Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto is going up against Gyogun. Again, I can't tell who's going to take that W, bro. At the end, these teams are so close in terms of talent, in terms of pedigree, in terms of play. It's hard to see who's going to be in those top spots besides maybe the top 2.
Man, and you see like the bottom 2 teams having to face off against each other. That's going to be a rough spot. But then Saishunkan Seoul going up against Gyogun. That's the make or break for 5th place, man. That's going to be so intense. You guys do not want to miss this, right? There's going to be only 3 weeks left. Week 12, Week 13, and Week 14 to get ourselves ready for the playoffs. That's coming right around the corner. Ladies and gentlemen, December is going to be a banger for Street Fighter League, and so is the rest of this month. Yo, Saint Cola, I've been super excited to see each and every one of these weeks. How have you been feeling so far? Actually, I hope you've been having a good time with everybody. We actually gotta close it. My fault, man. My fault, fam. I don't want to mistime it. I don't want to mistime it for you, bro. We'll get that opinion from you on Tuesday. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.